We are live at Pro Player Stadium, and Sports Channel presents Bell South Baseball Night in Florida. Today, the world champion Florida Marlins take out of the field against the Milwaukee Brewers for Game 2 of their 4-game series. And hello again, baseball fans. This is Joe Angel alongside Tommy Hutton. Dave O'Brien will be along later. Boy, the Marlins in dire need of a victory here tonight as they again take on the Milwaukee Brewers. And Tommy, so far the young pitchers, they've struggled a little bit in the early going. But if you look at the everyday players, the youngsters, Mark Kotsay and Ryan Jackson, those youngsters off to a great start so far.
Yeah, those are a couple of the guys we're going to look at because we've enjoyed watching them play so far early in the season. Mark Kotsay and Ryan Jackson. Mark Kotsay has gotten off to a good start. The left-handed hitter can do a lot of things at the plate. He's a line drive type hitter. As he matures, will probably get a little more power. Ryan Jackson is 26 years of age. He missed all of the 1996 season with knee surgery, so he's kind of a late bloomer, but he's swinging the bat well. He's playing first base, he's playing right field, and he can do a lot of things. Ryan Jackson the other night picked up a base hit up the middle. He has shown that he can hit the ball up the middle to left field and pull some balls to right field. Mark Kotsay, not only can he hit, he's roaming and covering a lot of territory in center field.
Well, Ryan Jackson plays from first base, can also play the outfield, so versatility comes in handy. Of course, Floyd's off to a great start. Gary Sheffield's off to a great start, although he's not in there again tonight. Now, the pitching. Brian Meadows, Tommy, big night for him.
Yeah, it sure is. The kid from Troy, Alabama, has a lot of people down. His mom and dad are here to watch him make his major league debut. He had a tremendous spring training, and the thing that stood out with Brian Meadows in spring training to Rich Doobie to Jim Leland's the fact that he didn't walk anybody the entire camp. He has a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup, and he's learned how to use all those pitches. He's a smart pitcher. He needs to keep them all down, though.
All right, we'll take a look at tonight's pitching matchup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Indeed, Brian Meadows making his major league debut. He has a curve, a fastball, throws a slider occasionally, and the changeup. Jeff Juden, he throws hard, and he's had great success against Florida in the past. Stay tuned. All the play-by-play is next on Sports Channel. Florida Marlins live back inside Pro Player Stadium. Game 2 against Milwaukee. Coming right up, you see the umpires huddled around the plate, and the Marlins will be taking the field defensively. By the way, and there are the umpires. Paul Schreiber behind the plate, Eddie Montague, Dana DeMuth, and Charlie Rutherford, the umpires on the bases. By the way, tonight will be the first of many Nations Bank $1 million inning ball games. In the bottom of the first here tonight, the people sitting in section 445, if somebody hits an inside the park home run tonight in the bottom of the first inning, those people in section 445 will split $1 million. And Tommy, the Marlins are going to be doing that the entire season, every Saturday home game.
Joe, if you don't mind, I'm going to leave and go sit in section 445 for that bottom of the first inning, so I'll see you, okay?
Hey, I thought that might be the case. Let's check out the lineups here, brought to you by Bell South, and you can see the Milwaukee Brewers. In the first 3 games, they have been a dangerous lineup. In fact, collectively, tonight's Milwaukee lineup is hitting over 300. Vigna's off to a good start. Jaha's hitting over 300. Burnitz is hitting 333. And, of course, Valentin, we saw him last night. He became the first player ever to hit 3 home runs in a single game at Pro Player Stadium. So, Tommy, these guys in the early going have been the dangerous bunch.
The defense tonight will certainly come into play with Brian Meadows on the mound because he is a control pitcher. So when he pitches, the ball will be put in play. Check out a couple of changes. Jim Leland has given a start to Dave Berg over at third base. The former University of Miami standout gets a start tonight. Greg Zahn will be behind the plate. Greg's had a pinch hit appearance, but he will start the game as the catcher. And he said catching Meadows in his major league debut will be a challenge. He had him a couple of times in the spring, and he said he'll just try to feel him out, see which pitches work the best, and he'll go with those. But it was a good spring training for Brian Meadows, who works the plate and needs to keep the ball low in the strike zone to have success.
Well, there you see Meadows. He's only 22 years old, and tonight making his major league debut. And this will be a night that he will never forget. His mother, his father are here from Troy, Alabama. He's got some cousins who drove down from Orlando. He's got family. He's got friends. And let's see what transpires. Fernando Vigna leads off, and Meadows gets off to a good start. Mentioned he's only 22. Big right-hander, 6'4". He weighs about 200. He was born in November of 1975. It seems like only yesterday. Alabama born. Y'all. Good bunt. Counsell bare hands. Well, he tried to barehand the ball, but it got past him. Kind of a do or die barehand attempt. And Counsell never came up with the ball.
That was one of those catch-22s. It was a little too hard to try to barehand, but if he doesn't try to barehand, he might not make the play, probably doesn't. If you come in and try to field it with the glove, by the time you transfer it to your throwing hand, Vigna, pretty good speed, got out of the box in a hurry. So the only chance was to try to barehand, but the ball was going a little too fast.
And a good call made by the official scorer, because he has ruled that a bunt single. That'll be a hit. Obviously, it took Counsell above average effort to try and make the play. And that is the proper call. That's a hit. And here's Cirillo. And he takes it low for ball one. Vigna was hitting .467. He is now 8 for 16 in the early going, so he gets aboard. And now Cirillo, who does have a home run this year with a couple of RBIs. Saw him in the game last night. He was 0 for 5. Infield, the middle of the infield, double play position. Cirillo, one hopper to third. Nicely picked up by Bird. And he has to go to first to get the out. Dave Berg with a tippy-toe catch and then made the good strong throw.
Well, that's a nice play, and it's also a good thinking play, because once he went so high in the air, he realized he didn't have a play at second base. Good leaping ability, and then has to come down and plant himself and get himself squared up to first base. But all the time he was up in the air, he was thinking, my only play is to first.
Out of the University of Miami. Nicely done by Dave Berg. Now John Jaha in here. A 300 hitter in the early going with no home runs and 1 RBI. He's at 4 hits in 13 at-bats. And Meadows misses inside for a ball. Brian Meadows, drafted in 1994 as compensation. He was a compensation draft choice for Walt Weiss that year. Last season at Portland, his record 9 wins and 7 losses, but he was outstanding, Tommy, in the second half of the year. It seemed like around mid-season, he turned that whole thing around for himself.
Yeah, then he went on and had a tremendous postseason for Portland.
I mean, over his last 8 starts at Portland last year, his record was 6-0 with a 2.12 ERA. And as Tommy mentioned, in the postseason, he was 2-0 with an ERA of just about a run a game. So he really turned his season around.
And by the way, that last pitch is a good indication of how he pitches. 2-0 was the count, and he just flopped a nice little breaking ball in for a strike.
And the fastball almost got by him, got a piece of it, even up at 2-2. He's got the fastball, not a real hard thrower, Tommy. He throws a breaking ball. He calls it a slurve. Throws it about 82, 83 miles an hour. It's a combination curve and slider.
And all 3 of the pitches, along with the change, he feels confident that he can throw any time.
And he also says he's now working on an honest slider that he will throw a couple of times a game, just to keep the hitters honest. The count stays at 2-2. Now think about Meadows, though. He knows how to pitch. He knows how to get the hitters off balance. Will use the entire plate and will change speeds. Now 3-2. Well, Tommy, you talked to him before the game here tonight. Interestingly enough, as a high school player, he was a catcher.
That's amazing. He told me he played a lot of positions. He made the high school team in Troy, Alabama as a catcher, and he played a few other positions. Didn't really start pitching until his junior season.
Yeah. He says he loved to catch. It was his favorite position. He loved the action back there. Now, did he go? Yes, he did. And the ball that was in the dirt. And Craig Zahn tagged him to complete the strikeout.
So if you're a Milwaukee Brewer hitter now, you've had a couple of early messages from Brian Meadows. A 2-0 breaking ball to Jaha. Then he throws him a 3-2 slider and is able to pick up the strikeout, because Jaha, I'm sure, was thinking something straight, was not looking breaking ball, and committed himself and went around on the swing.
Now he'll go to work on the left-hand hitting Jeremy Burnitz with 2 gone and a runner in scoring position. Oh, good pitch. You see that ball tail away from Burnitz.
Let's just say that 3-2 pitch to Jaha is more of a Greg Maddux type pitch and not a rookie making his major league debut.
Hey, that's pretty good company right there, isn't it? Now, Burnitz has good power. Has a couple of home runs this year. Has knocked in 6 runs. And a breaking ball down and in. Well, you can see he likes to move that ball around. Got the outside corner, then the breaking ball in on the lefty. And he says he'll throw the occasional slider to a left-hand hitter to try and jam him. Last year, he led the entire Marlin organization in complete games. He had 4 of them. 2-1 the count now.
And if you're keeping track, that was a changeup. He's thrown 2 or 3 this inning.
Well, you mentioned on the pregame, Tommy, Greg Zahn said that he would simply try to call whatever pitch Meadows is getting over the plate. And now 3-1. And first base is open, and you have Marquise Grissom, the veteran, coming up to hit next. Now it's going to be interesting to see what Meadows does on this 3-1 pitch with first base open.
I don't think he's going to give him a whole lot to hit because he's missed with 2 changeups in a row.
And he doesn't have to give in right here. Well, the fastball, and he popped it up. There's Ryan Jackson. Look out. Oh, he lost track of it momentarily. It looked as though he and Counsell were having a little difficulty communicating, but then Jackson found the ball again and made the play. My goodness. Well, they leave one, and here come the Marlins. Yes, a blustery night here at Pro Players Stadium as we go to work in the bottom of the first. Milwaukee coming up empty in the top of the inning, and now we'll check out the Marlin lineup brought to you by Bell South. Offensively in the early going, hey, the Marlins off to a good start. Floyd is tied for the league lead in home runs. Renteria hitting over 300. The youngster Jackson and Kotze also hitting over 300. Craig Counsell hitting 375. So offensively, well, this lineup collectively hitting 350. They're off to a good start.
The offense is doing the job. The defense for the Milwaukee Brewers and Phil Garner, their manager, pretty much the same as last night. The only exception, the catcher. Jesse Levis came into the game later in the game, picked himself up a couple of base hits. He'll be handling the big 6'8" right-hander, the guy they call Nuke, from Nuke LaLoosh out of Bull Durham. That's his nickname, and the Marlins saw a little bit of him last year too. He's got a good record against them.
Yeah, and there's some bad blood between Jeff Juden and the Florida Marlins. Jeff Juden, interestingly enough, Tommy, has had that kind of reaction even among his own teammates. He hasn't been real popular. His demeanor. But he is a big guy, and he can be intimidating. He's 6'8", and he weighs 265. Only Randy Johnson is taller in the major leagues these days, because Randy is 6'10", the tall man, the big unit. 1-1 to Cliff Floyd. And Juden, a guy who has had success against Florida, with a lifetime record of 3-0 against the Marlins. 1-2 now to Floyd.
You talk about the Marlin offense too. Cliff Floyd has supplied a lot of that in that leadoff spot.
Well, he's got the 1 leadoff home run. He's tied for the league lead now in home runs with 3, and he has homered in 3 consecutive games.
Well, he was tied until Mark McGwire hit one today. McGwire hit number 4.
Is he amazing or what? Mark McGwire. Gotta love the guy, and he is great for baseball, isn't he? That ball got him on the foot. And Floyd limping around as though he has a lighted match in his toe. He is really hopping out there, and now he's going to get down on one knee and try to meditate the pain away.
Well, there isn't a lot of padding down there, and you have a breaking ball come down at you that hard, it's going to hurt for a while. But getting back to McGwire, he tied a major league record for starting a season 4 games in a row. We had a trivia question last night. Willie Mays had done it back in 1962. So starting the season 4 games in a row with home runs in each of the 4 games.
Well, Floyd very slowly making his way over toward first base and escorted by Kevin Rand.
So you take your stride, and there's really no way you can lift up that back foot because it's planted in the batter's box. And that ball came right down on that back foot.
Well, we talk about home run streaks. Floyd, we mentioned, has homered in 3 consecutive games. The Marlin record for home runs in consecutive games is held by, interesting, Kurt Abbott. Remember, he homered in 4 consecutive games. So Floyd very much within reach of that. Here's El Nino now. Renteria, little tapper, slowly hit. Going to be trouble. And the third baseman, Cirillo, handles it nicely. And on the play, Floyd taking second base. Renteria retired 5-3. And now we'll take a look at the youngster, Ryan Jackson. Today's weather update is brought to you by Publix. 84 degrees. A little breezy tonight. Partly cloudy, but hey, we're playing some hardball here.
Tell you what, the weather's been so nice, you almost don't want to go to Publix and shop.
Yeah, but if you get hungry enough. Here's Jackson now, a chance to pick up the RBI. You know, Jim Leyland made an interesting move in the original lineup. He had Eisenreich hitting third, and then Jackson hitting fourth. But now they flip-flopped. And why would Jim Leyland do that?
I don't know. You know, obviously you can look and see, well, he probably preferred Jim Eisenreich between the two rookies, Jackson and Kotze. But why he didn't do that earlier when he made out the original lineup, I'm not sure.
You know, Jim Leyland has always said that he prefers to have his best hitter hitting in the number 3 hole. That's where Gary Sheffield hits when he's healthy. There's no question Jackson is a very good hitter. He's unproven at the major league level, but Eisenreich is a guy with a lot more experience too.
I think he did it because he knew you wrote your lineup in pen.
Thank goodness for whiteout. 1-2 to Jackson. You know, the kid's off to a great start. Batting average of .385. He has not homered, and he has knocked in 3 runs. He's had 5 hits and 13 at-bats. And he fights off the fastball.
And you talk about home run power. He had some home run power last year at Portland, had 26. So he does have enough juice to get one out.
Yeah, drove in 98 runs. So he was a run producer at Portland last year. Has a chance to produce right now. No score in the bottom of the first. Breaking ball. Hit to the opposite field. Backing up is Newfield. And Floyd back to second base.
That's a real nice swing. You always try to break down a batter's swing, and sometimes the result isn't a positive one with a base hit. But with 2 strikes, Ryan Jackson was able to stay back on an off-speed pitch, a breaking ball. Didn't jump out, didn't pull it, stayed back, got inside the ball and hit it hard, hit a line drive only to the left fielder, Newfield.
All you can ask of a hitter is to have a good at-bat, and he did. Now, here's Eisenreich to try and get done with 2 outs. And Juden gets ahead. Now, Juden became a Milwaukee Brewer in a deal with Cleveland. He came over along with Marquise Grissom in that 5-player trade that included Ben McDonald. It's kind of an interesting story there, Tommy.
Who has since been released.
Exactly. Well, he's been hurt. He was injured goods. Eventually was sent back and eventually released.
Well, you mentioned Juden and teammates. He's had a lot of teammates because he's been with Houston, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Montreal, Cleveland, and now Milwaukee.
Well, last year 11-5 with Montreal. He got off to a phenomenal start last year. Remember that? As Eisenreich takes a high fastball. Now, once he got to Cleveland, he struggled, but with Montreal, he was off to, in fact, at one time in early July, he was 11-2. And then he began to struggle a bit. He does throw hard and can be intimidating. Eisenreich tried to go the other way, but he fouled it away.
That's exactly right. He throws hard enough and he's wild enough to keep you honest at the plate. He has a good breaking ball. He has a splitter, so he has a pretty good assortment of pitches, and he has that appearance, and he is wild enough just to keep you honest in the batter's box.
You know, one of his better games last year was a losing effort against Toronto and Roger Clemens. And that was a game in which Juden wound up with 14 strikeouts and got beat 2-1. And then his next start, he had 11 strikeouts against the Atlanta Braves. So he can't overpower you. 2-2 now to Jim Eisenreich. Defensively, Cirillo, Valentin, Vina, and Jaha third to first. Levis behind the plate, Newfield, Grissom, and Burnitz in the outfield left to right. Breaking ball. He looked at it, and down he goes. Nice pitch. Pretty good location there. Nasty pitch. No runs. A hit batsman. They leave 1 now. End of 1. It's a 0-0 game.
Baseball fans, be sure.
All right, fans are reminded to be sure and tune in next Wednesday. That'll be our next Marlin telecast. It's baseball night in Florida when the Marlins are in Philadelphia to take on the Phillies. Coverage getting underway at 6:30 exclusively on SportsChannel. Philadelphia, the home of broadcaster Harry Callis. Tommy Hutton. A very distinctive style, Harry Callis. Got that deep voice. Line drive, base hit, left center field, and this one is over with.
But no longer will he have Mickey Morandini to call at second base.
No more Mickey Morandini. As Marquise Grissom is in here, and he takes a ball. There's Harry Callis, the voice of National Football League. Those the film, videotapes. Grissom goes right through it. The city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. It'll be a little bit on the nippy side, too, I think, Tommy.
Yeah, temperature's starting to dip a little bit.
No score, just getting started in the second. And now Grissom, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Marquise trying to stay away from what happened to him last year, going from the Braves to the Indians and not getting off to a good start. Had a poor first half of the season. Had a great spring. Hit over 400 this year in the spring. So far, a little slow. He's just 2 for 11 this season.
And down he goes. Meadows with his second major league strikeout.
Well, once again, Brian Meadows moving the ball around. Had some breaking balls, and then all of a sudden comes up and in with a good fastball, great location, and the ball took off on Grissom. In that area, a lot harder than it looks.
Now here's Jose Valentin. What a ball game he had here last night. Not 1, not 2, but 3 bombs. And they were bombs, because to hit home runs toward right field in this ballpark, you have to hit the ball very hard. Just like that. Up with the ball is Eisenreich, gets it back into second base, and so Valentin stays hot. He came in with a batting average of .417.
Well, you and I were standing around the batting cage talking to Bobby Bonilla, and we were talking about last year. Was it the first left-handed home run by a Marlin last year? Was John Cangelosi.
Yeah, I remember
it took
that,
a while too.
Now here's Newfield with the runner at first base and 1 out, and Valentin gets back. Now, Valentin had 19 stolen bases last year, so he will run on you. Phil Garner is a very aggressive kind of manager, perfect for the National League. There's a call strike. Newfield's off to a slow start. He's only 1 for 11, as you can see there. Batting average under 100. Young right-hand hitter. Meadows, the kind of a pitcher that can get you to hit a double play ground ball. It's pretty good command. Newfield is coming back from an injury last year. Never had that shoulder problem. Eventually had to undergo rotator cuff surgery. So he missed the final 3 months of last year. Now the count even up at 1-1. Played in only 50 games last year, as a matter of fact. Mark Newfield. We're in the top of the second, no score. Milwaukee with the runner at first, only 1 out.
And with Dave Nielsen on the disabled list, Newfield getting an opportunity to show Phil Garner what he can do in left field.
Well, if Newfield is going to help Milwaukee, he's going to have to do it offensively, because defensively he does not excel. He doesn't run all that well. His arm is not that good. So he has to hit to stay in the major leagues. Well, you see Meadows trying to keep that ball down to get that ground ball. But now he's behind Newfield 2-1.
But pretty good pitch right there. I think Brian Meadows is wondering where the strike zone is in the National League.
Dave Berg backed up at third. Renteria and Counsell in at double play depth. There's that bouncer. Renteria flags it down, but the ball got away. Edgar tried to make the switch. Looked as though he might have been trying to get the ball to second base, because by the time he got to that ball, he had no play at first.
And it would have been a tough play to get the out at second base, too. Valentin runs well, got a good jump. So in his quick effort to try to get it to second, you can see Edgar flag it, tries to turn, and right there as he tries to get the ball in his throwing hand, he loses control. So it's an infield base hit all the way for Newfield.
Indeed. Now here's Jesse Levis. So it'll be right-hander against left-hander. And a high inside fastball. 1 ball and no strikes. We saw Levis in the ball game here last night. Came on defensively in the late innings and wound up with a couple of at-bats and 2 singles. Oh, a pretty good location there at the knees on the inside corner. A good idea not to swing at that pitch.
You know, we mentioned Brian Meadows with a lot of people here from Troy, Alabama. There's a young man writing an article for the local Troy Messenger, a local newspaper, and he's following Brian around, getting the feel of things, how he's approaching this first start in the major leagues.
There's a line drive and a base hit to right center. Valentin being waved in. Eisenreich going into second base, but the run scores, and Milwaukee has taken a 1-0 lead.
Now batting, the starting pitcher, number 14, Jeff Juice.
Looked like Jesse Levis got himself a breaking ball. Stayed up there just a little bit. He wanted that down more on the inner part of the plate, and Levis got it just over the head of Craig Counsell. You see Newfield held up for a moment. The runner at first base wanted to make sure the ball got into right field, so he only could go on to second, couldn't make it over to third.
Now he'll go to work on Jeff Juden, who shows bunt, going behind the runner at second base. Gets by Renteria, but there'll be no advance. And the count is 0-1 to Juden. Now Juden is a switch hitting pitcher. So with the right-hander out there, Juden will hit left-handed. That time just trying to bunt the runners over to second and third. Oh, look at that stance.
And he goes from 6'8" to 5'8". Spread out that much.
There's a lot of real estate down there.
Trying to shrink that strike zone.
Well, he laid off that high outside fastball. And the count even up at 1-1. Well, it's certainly a big day for Brian Meadows, Tommy. Can you is there any way you can relate to us exactly what he's going through right now? Making his major league debut. He's got his family in town. He was so nervous earlier today. He left the hotel early because he wanted to be alone and came to the ballpark early. Greg Zahn looks at third. He'll have to go to first. Nicely done by Greg Zahn, though, to get the out. And a good bunt by Juden.
The second baseman, number 1.
Yeah, an outstanding bunt and a good play. Greg looked at third base, but once he realized Dave Berg had come in and there was no one there, he knew he had the luxury to do this. You got a speedy runner who bunted the ball. You can't do that, as the runner's going to be safe at first. But he had the luxury to do so with the runner being the pitcher, Jeff Juden.
Now the top of the order, Fernando Vina in here to hit now. Runners on second and third. And for Brian Meadows, this would be a very big out right here. Anytime you can minimize the damage, you've done a job well done. And from a windup, he'll go to work on Vina. And he gets ahead.
Yeah, it was a good point that you mentioned about him leaving the hotel early, Brian Meadows. He said his parents, all they wanted to talk about was the game tonight. He wanted to get out, relax, think about other things, so he decided to come to the clubhouse early.
He was sitting in the clubhouse watching other baseball games, though. He was watching the Mets game and the San Francisco Giants against Arizona. He had baseball on his mind. And there's a line drive, nicely caught by Ryan Jackson, and he forgot how many outs there were. But that's okay. He made the play. And so he does minimize the damage. Milwaukee settles for 1. In the bottom of the second, Kotze, Zahn, and Counsell coming up to hit. Marlin Baseball on Sports Channel is being brought to you in part by your local Nissan retailers. To remind you that life is a journey, so enjoy the ride. And by HIP Health Plan of Florida. Affordable, quality health care is never a thing of the past. Here come the Marlins now against right-hander Jeff Juden in the bottom of the second. Kotze, Zahn, and Counsell as they try to overcome a 1-0 deficit. Other games are on the major leagues today. In the American League, Baltimore beat Detroit 2-1. Damian Easley hit a home run. Kamenecki wins it over Greg Cagle, with Benitez getting a save. Oakland beat the Yankees 7-3. That's a final score. Toronto beat Texas 9-2. Juan Gonzalez hit his second home run in that game. Canseco hit one too, by the way. His first. Mike Stanley also homered. Here's Kotze now. He takes it low and inside the ball. And as Tommy Hutton mentioned earlier, Mark McGwire hit another home run today. The big bopper already with 4, which ties the major league record for home runs in consecutive games at the beginning of a season.
Yeah, he's got some ribbies too, because there were 2 men on. It was a 3-run shot.
Kotze grounds it foul. Now Kotze is off to a great start. Batting average of .313 with a couple of RBIs. And by the way, he has batted against Juden in the past. He's gone 2 for 3 against him. Old chopper foul off to the right. Even up at 2-2 now.
Hey, one thing you can do against Jeff Juden, if you get men on base, you can take advantage of his tall frame, because last year when he was with the Expos, 46 men tried to steal.
Yeah.
42 were successful.
Boy, he was by far the leader in that rather dubious category, and a breaking ball gets Kotze. A second consecutive strikeout. He got Eisenreich to end the first, and now he'll go to work on the Z-man, Greg Zahn. Now today's injury report is brought to you by Roadhouse Grill.
Well, we mentioned Bobby Bonilla. We saw Bobby taking BP. The Achilles is fine. Wrist is getting better and better, and expects to be back within a couple of weeks, I would say.
Boy, he's getting antsy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Boy, he can't wait. He looks great. Been taking batting practice, but soon will begin to take live batting practice. And by that we mean by an actual pitcher, a major league pitcher, throwing to him and trying to get him out. 0-2 now to Greg Zahn. There's Bobby Bo. Boy, when he gets back in the lineup, it'll give this lineup a whole different look. He's going to be with the ball club at home and on the road. He'll be sitting in the dugout. He says, hey, if I'm not there, then who's going to yell? Now, if there's any question, Tommy, Bobby Bonilla is the leader on this ball club.
Well, he also said he has to watch himself. If a fight breaks out, he has to stay on the bench.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be suspended while on the DL. 0-2 to Greg Zahn. Base is empty. Bottom of the second. Milwaukee with a 1-0 lead. Old bouncer toward third. And down the left field line. Going to be extra bases, I believe. There's the Z-man racing into second base. And the throw, the tag. Oh, the ball got away. Greg Zahn with a sliding double to get himself into scoring position on a ball hit just inside the bag at third.
Well, so far, Greg Zahn is 2 for 2 on the season, and this double is made by his quickness out of the box. If Greg Zahn had hesitated and taken an easy turn around first base, might have been an easier play for Newfield, but he hustled from that first step right from the beginning. That's why he was able to get in just before the tag was made, and then Vigna lost hold of the ball.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tommy. The only way to get 2 is if you're thinking double immediately, and there aren't too many catchers who can turn that into a double. Greg Zahn runs well, as they say, Tommy, for a catcher. He moves well. Here's Counsell now. And he takes a ball. Counsell's off to a sizzling start. He's had 6 hits in 16 at-bats. Pretty good pitch right there. 1-1 to Counsell. That one at 92 miles an hour, as a matter of fact.
You had mentioned Juden's record 3-0 lifetime against the Marlins. One of his 3 complete games last year was right here at Pro Player Stadium against Florida.
Well, Counsell tonight getting his first look at Jeff Juden. He has never batted against him in the past. Of course, last year Counsell wound up hitting .299 overall. Juden ahead 1-2. And here it comes. Breaking ball. Grounded foul. At the bottom of the second, 1-0 Milwaukee. Same two teams again tomorrow. And of course, tomorrow is World Series Championship Ring Day, Tommy. All the players, the coaches, the staff. Big day tomorrow. Get their rings. And they are beauties. And of course, the youngsters who attend the game tomorrow will receive replica World Series rings. That'll be a fun day tomorrow.
That's going to be exciting. A lot of anticipation, I'm sure, from the players, the guys who were around last year, to see the ring, to be able to finalize the whole thing. Because you hear players so many times, and it is true, they don't want to go into the World Series to win the money or to get a check. It's to win the ring.
Well, they're going to spend the money, but that ring is going to be there forever. You know, Jim Leland is looking forward to it. I mean, he came close so many times. Well, last year he finally got one. Line drive hit to the opposite field. Greg Zahn had to hesitate, so he will go only to third. Well, the Marlins have runners at the corners as Counsell does a beautiful job of hitting and going to the opposite field. Oh, you got to love that kid.
Tell you one thing about Juden, he has not made many mistakes with his pitches. He's thrown that breaking ball down and in. He froze Jim Eisenreich with a breaking ball in the outer part of the plate. He's moved his fastball around pretty well, but he hung a breaking ball, got it out over the plate to Craig Counsell on that swing, and he put a good charge to it. Good line drive, but as you said, Zahn had to hold. You don't want to get doubled off second base, so he had to make sure that ball got over Valentin's head.
All right, now we'll take a look at Dave Berg making his first start of the year. Josh Booty getting a breather. And the fastball just misses outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Now you can see Milwaukee's infield looking for a double play. Valentin and Vina up the middle. They're giving Berg a gap in left center. And the third baseman Cirillo is just a little bit back of the bag at third. Just a tad low in the count 2-0. Berg showing some patience.
And you know Greg Zahn, anything on the ground with one down, he's going to go on contact in this situation.
Boy, Berg is a key hitter right here with the pitcher coming up to hit next. Berg knows that he's got to get it done somehow here. Get the ball out of the infield. And he lays off that one. So the count 3-0. I don't know what kind of a hitter Brian Meadows is going to be at the major league level, but he did tell me today that he hit about 500 in high school as a senior, so hit some home runs.
He had a game in Melbourne, one of his spring training games. I remember he doubled in the left center field. Hit the ball pretty well.
Make contact. That's all you can do. 3-0 here to Dave Berg. And he takes a strike. 3-1. Well, Juden, you can see, gave him the fastball, but it wasn't right down the middle. He caught the corner with it. That's a good pitch on 3-0. There's Greg Zahn, the tying run at third base. And there's Counsell. He's at first with 1 out. Fastball. Line drive and a base hit to right field. There comes the Z-man to tie it up, and there goes Counsell to third. How about that? Dave Berg in his first start, his first major league hit, and it drives in a run, and it ties this baby up.
Well, he's following suit of Ryan Jackson, who picked up his first major league base hit, and it drove in a run too. Good bit of hitting by Dave Berg. He patiently took the 3-0, got a good look at the fastball, knew that Juden would probably come with another fastball. He did. He stayed right with it, went after that hole on the right side, and got it into right field for an RBI single.
Now Meadows with a chance to give himself the lead. It's a 1-1 tie in the bottom of inning number 2. Counsell never hesitated, racing to third, and never drew a throw. That throw came in toward first, and if Meadows can get the ball out of the infield, he might have the lead. And there's ball 1 to him.
A good camera shot of Craig Counsell that shows you that if you know how to run the bases, you really don't need the help of the coach in that situation. He knew he got a good jump. He knew the ball was into right field. He knew Burnitz's arm is average to below average. So he knew he was going to make it to third. He never really looked at Rich Donnelly until he got to third base.
And there's a knee-high strike to Meadows. Even up at 1-1 now. Boy, that was an outstanding at-bat for Dave Berg. He got into a good hitter's count, then took a good pitch on the outside corner, and then Juden tried to stay away again, and he did exactly what he should have done. And let's go to the opposite field. Check swing, but he couldn't get the bat out of the way. And that foul ball almost got Floyd in the on-deck circle. So Meadows in a hole now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's the big guy, Floyd. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. Joe Angel and Tommy Hutton. Dave O'Brien will be along later. Right now it's a 1-1 game. Bottom of the second here. Breaking ball, got him looking. That's out number 2. Strikeout number 3 for Juden. But now Floyd has a chance to do some damage. That's why the Berg at-bat, Tommy, was so important. It drove in a run, but it also gets the inning to Cliff Floyd.
No question, and even important for him to put the ball in play. If Dave Berg, let's say, walks, even though that loads the bases, you still have Brian Meadows up. Now, if he strikes out, it's a tougher situation. So a big at-bat, key base hit for Dave Berg. He'll remember that first one.
Oh, baby. And, of course, all of this makes it a lot tougher for Jeff Juden because he really has had to work hard in this inning. Floyd had been hit by a pitch in here with a batting average of .313 and tied for the lead in the National League in home runs. He has homered in 3 consecutive games. You know, Floyd, to me, Tommy, has a very interesting swing. The way he chops down on the ball. His swing goes up and down. That's a very tough swing to teach. It's his natural swing. I mean, most guys with power have kind of an uppercut swing.
Yeah, he doesn't have what you'd call a pure home run hitter swing. More of a hard line drive type swing. And as we've talked about, a lot of his home runs are just of the line drive variety.
Yeah, he's got power. He can run. He's got a lot of tools. Breaking ball. You see his numbers against Juden. Just a couple of at-bats. Although he does have 4 plate appearances against him. So he's seen him before. 1-1 tie. Bottom of the second. Floyd trying to get done with 2 outs here. Fastball. And again a check swing, but a foul ball. The count to Floyd is 1-2 now. Craig Counsell at third, heading back to third base.
Well, you're wondering why it took Craig so long to get back to third. Always heads up. He never saw the home plate umpire, Paul Schreiber, make the foul ball call. So he was just making sure maybe that ball had just gotten away from Levis, the catcher. So he started to the plate.
Yeah, that's why the umpire should give you that signal immediately. Now, there's no question that was a foul ball, but Counsell, hey, it's not a good idea to assume anything. Now Juden backs off. Now the 1-2 pitch, fastball. Go pop up foul, heading for the third base dugout, and on top of the dugout. So Floyd sees at least 1 more pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes is the count.
You know, with all the talk over the years about interleague play and teams changing cities, which hasn't happened in a while, it's amazing that the Brewers are the first team this century to change leagues.
Of course, they used to be the National League Milwaukee Braves. That's a team I grew up with. A team I remember, the Milwaukee Braves of Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews and Joe Adcock and Lou Burdette and people like that. Of course, they eventually went to Atlanta as Floyd takes a fastball inside.
Yeah, they left in 1965. So Milwaukee was without a baseball team for a few years because what was then Seattle Pilots left Seattle and went to Milwaukee in 1970.
And of course, Milwaukee, one of several teams about to get a new stadium in the year 2000. They got a brand new ballpark already under construction. They built the foundation, and in a couple of years they'll be all set. Breaking ball in the dirt, and I guess Floyd got a piece of it. So he stays alive. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And there's a man who has spent a lot of time with Cliff Floyd over the spring. Milt May, the hitting instructor, and his work has paid off, Tommy. He kept telling everybody, hey, Cliff is going to be okay. Believe me, he struggled in spring training, but boy, last couple of games of the spring and now into regular season, he has come on. And he takes a very close pitch. So he has run the count to 3-2 now.
Yeah, I think that last day of spring training, Milt said, you know, Cliff, it'd be a good idea if you got 4 hits today. Get yourself tuned up for the season.
Well, Floyd said that he felt it all come together the day before in Kissimmee in a couple of at-bats. All of a sudden, he just got locked in, and everything was okay. Got those 4 hits on Sunday, and he's got 3 home runs early this season. And he's had a pretty good at-bat here. Remember, he was in a hole 1-2. Now it's 3-2. And now it's ball 4, and they're now loaded for Renteria. You know, you might go the entire game, Tommy, maybe not get a hit, but you remember a couple of at-bats, and I think Floyd is going to remember that at-bat.
That was a good one. He fouled off some pitches, and it also showed you the kind of respect Jeff Juden has with Cliff Floyd. Threw him a breaking ball, 3-2, and tried to really spot it, make it a perfect pitch, got himself in trouble. Now the bases are loaded, so he just didn't rear back and come at Cliff with a fastball.
I see Dan Rowe, the pitching coach of the Milwaukee Brewers, under Phil Garner. Milwaukee's going to be an interesting bunch to watch in 1998. Phil Garner is tailor-made to manage in the National League. The way he played the game, very aggressive. He likes to make things happen. Phil Garner into his 7th season as the Milwaukee skipper. And now Renteria with the bases loaded. Edgar, very good contact hitter. In this game, he is 0 for 1. He bounced to 3rd. Counsell, Berg, and Floyd all on base with 2 outs. Edgar up the middle. Vina will go to Valentin to get the force out there. The side retired. That ball nearly got through. So they do settle for 1. And at the end of 2, it's tied up at 1-1. That fans, a reminder about the Florida Marlins and Cigna Healthcare. They present the first of many family Sundays. That'll be tomorrow against Milwaukee at 1:05. And we told you earlier, the players and the coaches and the staff of the Florida Marlins will also be receiving their World Series championship rings, and the youngsters, all kids 12 and under, will receive a replica World Championship ring too. So you call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050 for individual game tickets. Cirillo leads off for Milwaukee in the 3rd, takes a breaking ball outside. 1 ball and no strikes. We're tied up at 1-1. Cirillo, Jaha, and Burnitz coming up to hit for Milwaukee. And now ball 2 as the fastball misses outside.
You think about this lineup today between Meadows and Kotze and Ryan Jackson, 3 guys who were in Double-A last year.
Now 3-0. Cirillo 0 for 1. He bounced to 3rd his first time up. Dave Berg made a very nifty catch of his high bouncer and got him at first base. And Cirillo takes the automatic with a count 3-1 now. Out of the University of Southern California, Jeff Cirillo. Here's a pitcher at USC. Played for the Trojans. And he'll take a walk. Leadoff man aboard. And now he'll go to work on Jaha. Oh, that's one thing, Jim Leland. You see the young pitchers. That's one thing you don't want to do is walk the leadoff hitter under any circumstances.
Well, it's the first time they've ever seen Brian Meadows walk someone, because he went the entire spring without walking anybody in 18 innings. He even pitched a game as the team broke camp. He stayed back to pitch in a minor league game, and I think he worked 6 or 7 innings, and he didn't walk anyone in that game either.
Double play ball. Counsell to El Nino. and is broken up at second base on a hard slide. Renteria never got rid of the ball. He went tumbling down, but they do get the lead runner. And Cirillo was in the neighborhood of the second base bag, so that's just a good, hard, aggressive play by Cirillo.
Yeah, I'd like to see where Cirillo's hands or legs were, because something caught a piece of Edgar, because this is tailor-made, and this is a double play that Edgar makes in his sleep. He comes off. Cirillo is in the neighborhood because he can touch the second base bag. That's how you have to make the call. Watch his left arm. First he gets a piece of Edgar, but his hand is able to touch the bag. It was close, but he was in the neighborhood. Just a good hard slide, and that just is indicative of Phil Garner, their manager.
Boy, you're right, it was tailor-made, but well, you got to give Cirillo all the credit. He broke it up. Burnett hits it down the right field line. It's a foul ball by just a couple of inches, it looked like. My goodness. What's that old cliche? It's a game of inches. Well, here's living proof.
So was the play before. Another inch and Cirillo would have been off the bag and been called for a double play. The big play. Remember how this inning goes, because right now Brian Meadows could be looking at Jeremy Burnett with nobody with 2 out and nobody on base.
That ball was fouled by the width of the baseball. Now 1-1 to Burnett's. Well, we mentioned last night, Burnett's, every time he comes here, of course, he has memories of his first major league home run. That was back in 1993, right in this ballpark, when he hit a home run against right-hander Ryan Bowen, his very first in the major leagues. And there's a strike at the knees, so the count is 1-2 now.
Having been a first-round pick of the Mets to begin his career.
Yeah, when he first came up, he was a very hot prospect with the New York Mets. They thought this guy was going to be something else. But with the Mets, it didn't turn out that way. Well hit. One hop to Jim Eisenreich. And Milwaukee with runners on first and second and 1 out. And now Meadows will go to work on Marquise Grissom.
Number 9, Marquise Grissom.
Grissom is 0 for 1. He struck out, as you can see there, his first time up. He's off to a slow start. He's had just a couple of hits in 12 at-bats so far this year. I see Marquise Grissom with that wide open stance. And Meadows gets ahead with a good fastball right there at the knees on the outside edge. Boy, it's so very important to throw strike one. And more often than not, Meadows does that. And another good fastball.
A couple of good fastballs in great spots to quickly get ahead to Marquise.
Well, let's see what Meadows does now. He's ahead 0-2 with a couple of good fastballs. He has a pitch to work with here. And he wastes it in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He can go a couple of ways. He can try that again, or remember when he struck out Marquise Grissom in the second inning, he struck him out on that fastball up and in, got him to chase it.
That's what I thought he might do, because the first 2 fastballs were on the outside corner. So you get the hitter looking away, then all of a sudden you bust him inside and you jam him. Well, he sees on, sets up outside. Little bouncer, foul outside third base. 1-2 to Marquise Grissom here in the third. We're tied up at 1-1. Milwaukee with runners on first and second and only 1 out.
Hey, you talk about one of the real gentlemen in the game of baseball. Marquise Grissom is in that category. It's amazing that he's been traded a few times. Started with Montreal, then Atlanta, then Cleveland, now Milwaukee, because usually you expect someone who's causing trouble to be traded so many times.
Well hit to deep center. Kotze got a good jump on it, though. Way back, fading back, way back. Can he get there? Nope. It lands on the warning track and will leave the yard. It'll be an automatic double, and it'll cost Milwaukee a run, because Burnitz was going to be able to score easily, and he'll be sent back to third. But Jaha has scored. Milwaukee leads it 2-1, and now it'll bring up Valentin.
Boy, a long way for Mark Kotsay to go. He takes a couple of peeks. He reaches out, just can't quite get there in time. And you could see how high that ball bounced once it hit that rubberized warning track out there. Came up about a foot short and then took a pretty good chunk out of the wall. Pretty good bang for Mark Kotsay, but he's all right.
Almost caught that ball a la Willie Mays back in 1954 when he caught that drive off of the bat of Vic Wertz. Came awfully close, but no cookie. And now Valentin to hit with runners on second and third, and Milwaukee ahead 2-1.
That's a young mistake. A 22-year-old in his major league debut had gotten ahead 0-2, but then made a mistake, and Marquis hurt him.
Now Valentin is going to be walked intentionally. That'll give Milwaukee the bases loaded with one out, and Newfield, a right-hand hitter, will come up to hit. Well, Jim Leland and Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, they're going to have to show some patience this year. We mentioned these kids are learning to pitch at the major league level. They're going to make mistakes. By the end of the season, they're going to be much better than they are now. And you look ahead, Tommy, maybe 1 year, maybe a couple of years, with the talent available right now, this could be a very good ball club and a legitimate contending ball club within a couple of years.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's any question about that. And then if the ball club starts and wishes to spend money again, you tap in a free agent or so, and you put that with the young talent, all of a sudden you have yourself a quick contender.
All right, let's see what Meadows does with Newfield now. He has no place to put him, and a breaking ball. He gets ahead on that foul tip. Another good example too, Tom, with the bases loaded. Generally, you might see a pitcher start with a fastball to make sure he throws a strike, but he throws an off-speed pitch and he gets ahead regardless.
Yeah, went with his breaking ball and got a strike with it.
Burnitz is at third, Grissom is at second, Valentin is at first. And a breaking ball almost got him to chase. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Greg Zahn's been active back there, made another nice block on a breaking ball in the dirt.
Greg Zahn had a great spring defensively and offensively. All the trade talk, all the rumors going around, but hey, he's on the ball club and he is a vital factor on this ball club. Fastball, fly ball to shallow right. Eisenreich sets up, makes the catch. Here comes Burnitz, and the throw too late. Now 3-1 Milwaukee.
The catcher, number 16, Jesse Levis.
And now the catcher, Jesse Levis, will come up to hit with runners at the corners and 2 outs.
Well, the Brewers, following their scouting reports, they know Jim Eisenreich does not have a strong throwing arm. So even though that ball was in medium to shallow right field, and Burnitz with pretty good speed was able to tag and score.
Yeah, you're right. I think Gary Sheffield has a much better chance to get the out because Sheffield has a very strong arm. But that's the way it goes. Sheffield shaken up right now. Got the injured knee and not in the lineup, although he can pinch hit. Levis bounces one toward right field. It gets through. That'll drive in a run. As Grissom comes in to score, stopping at second base will be Valentin, and now Milwaukee leads it 4-1.
The pitcher, number 14, Jeff Jr.
Boy, a seeing eye base hit by Jesse Levis. He just reached out. Appeared to be a pretty good pitch from Brian Meadows. And when you can get it past Craig Counsell, even though Craig made a dive for it, you know that ball has eyes. High chopper, but Craig can't get there in time. Too far away from him.
Dave Berg from the edge of the infield grass to get the final out. But the damage has been done here. 3 runs as Milwaukee sends 8 men to the plate and leave a couple. In the bottom of the third, Jackson, Eisenreich, and Kotsay for Florida. Remember, Marlin fans, you can catch up on all the news and notes from the world champions every Sunday morning on Marlins Weekly. Go behind the scenes with Jay Randolph. And if you've ever been behind the scenes with Jay Randolph, you know there's nothing better. Every Sunday morning at 10:30, right here on Sports Channel. Well, the big right-hander Jeff Juden has himself a 4-1 lead as we head to the bottom of the third. 49 pitches. And Tommy's had good command. He's throwing strikes.
Yeah, he has. What the Marlins have to try to do now is do what they did in the second inning. After the strikeout of Mark Kotsay, then Juden got himself in a little trouble, gave up 3 base hits in a row. So right now the Marlins are saying he is hittable. If he makes some mistakes, which he has, they can touch him up.
Well, he had to work hard in that second inning with Gary Sheffield, and we told you he is available to pinch hit despite the injured left knee. And look the way he's holding onto that bat. That's his friend. Wants to keep it nice and warm. Now Jackson will try to get started here in the bottom of the third. And he'll take ball 1. And a breaking ball hit to deep right field. Way back. It's off the wall. Jackson takes a big turn, and he hustles right back to the bag at first. As Jeremy Burnitz played that ball beautifully and able to hold Ryan Jackson to a 340-foot single. Boy, Jackson just continues to pound it.
Well, he gets penalized for hitting the ball too hard. Ball had a little bit of topspin. That's what kept him from hitting a home run. But it was played very nicely by Burnitz. Right there, good turn, got it on 1 hop off the wall, and then an accurate throw to second.
Now Jim Eisenreich. Up the middle, off the glove, and it turns into a double play. My goodness, that ball was going to be in center field, deflected by Juden right to Valentin, who turns it into a 6-3 double play, and sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Well, remember last night in the 6th inning on that hit and run when Valentin was covering the bag, Mark Kotsay took a ground ball right up the middle. Would have gone into center field, but Valentin, because he was covering the bag, made the play, turned it into a double play. You can't hit a ball much harder than Jim Eisenreich did. Juden got a piece of it because he's 6'8", and it caromed over to Valentin, an easy 2.
Now here's Kotsay to hit with the bases empty. Instead of having runners on first and second with nobody out, now all of a sudden there are 2 outs and there's no one out.
And 2 balls hit right on the nose.
And that's out number 3. So it turns into a quick inning for the right-hander Juden. End of 3. Milwaukee leads it 4-1.
All right, baseball fans, it's time now to hit this thing.
Back to the ballpark, 4-1 Milwaukee, but the Marlins starting to sting Juden, and it's not over.
You know, it's amazing how quickly an inning can materialize and how quickly it can vanish. And that inning started off well with the shot by Ryan Jackson. Jim Eisenreich hit the ball right on the nose, and it turned into a double play by the Brewers.
Juden, the kind of guy, if he gets in a rhythm, if you let him do that, he can be devastating. He was a couple of times against Florida last year, but he's not there. And the Marlins now with 4 hits and could have had a couple of more in the previous inning. Now Ovina 1 for 2 tonight with a single and a line out. He's hit the ball sharply a couple of times. Now the other side of things, Brian Meadows has to start making them swing and miss a little more frequently. He's allowed 7 hits. Not all of them have been raked. There have been some cheapies in there. They've all found a home, it seems. Ovina just off to a great start. He is 8 for 17 to begin the season. That's just about perfection for a leadoff man. He won't reach here as Counsell throws him out. 1 up, 1 down in the 4th for Milwaukee.
Hey, talk about Brian Meadows and what he's done in this ball game. He's left a few pitches up. He has thrown more pitches than you would expect him to throw at this point of the ball game. He gives a lot of credit to the minor league pitching coordinator, Britt Burns of the Marlins, former major league pitcher, left-hander. And Britt worked with Brian Meadows on being a smart pitcher out there, using all those pitches, but also having to keep all those pitches low in the strike zone.
That one drilled toward the gap. Floyd will try to one-hop it. He deflects it The runner will be held to a base hit as Cirillo scurries back to first. Cliff looked like he got off kind of a late jump and then was a little unsure on how to play it. He did knock it down, so single for Cirillo.
I think if he comes after right away, he might have a shot. Got caught in between, and you always have to get it back in a hurry with Cirillo, because Cirillo the last 2 years has had 46 doubles each year, so he's thinking double every time he hits a ball in that area.
Not a lot of power from their third baseman, but lots of doubles, as Tommy mentioned. Only 10 home runs last year. Here's where they get the power. Big John Jaha. And the game tonight, he has struck out and hit into a fielder's choice, reached on that play and came in to score. Milwaukee scored 3 times in the third, and they're ahead 4-1.
I think that whole inning was set up by the slide of Jeff Cirillo that broke up what looked like a sure double play and would have put Brian Meadows in a whole different situation.
I'm sure you guys touched on it. Do you think that he went after Edgar, or do you think he was at least in the area?
Well, yeah, he did go after him, but he was able to touch the bag with his hand. As long as you can reach the bag, you're not going to see the call made. But there was no question he went after Edgar Renteria with a slide that broke up the double play.
A man at first, 1 out for the Brewers. And a foul tip by Jaha. Burnett's up next. We've said it so often this week. A Marlin pitcher, a Marlin player, period, making his major league debut. 5 different Marlin pitchers have broken into the big leagues this week, and 2 of them starters. Brian last season 9-7 for Double-A Portland. Had a great spring, didn't walk anybody. And there's a strike on the outside corner. He came with a breaking ball and nailed Jaha to the plate. Strikes him out for the second time, 2 away.
That's more like Brian Meadows when he's working his game. Good breaking ball, good spot. I think Jaha thought it was a little low, but he got the call. From that angle, looked like a good pitch. Wasn't low.
2 down. Burnett's the hitter. He's popped up and singled. Burnett's had a huge spring. 9 home runs he hit. This Milwaukee team might surprise people. They've hit 6 home runs in the early going. Of course, they got 3 of them yesterday by Jose Valentin, but they're among the National League leaders early on in home runs. Seattle has already hit 10 home runs. And David Segui, of all people, has 3 of those.
Now, they have a few guys that can bop them out of there. Jay Buhner and Edgar Martinez, not to mention Junior, and now David Segui.
The 2-0. Driven into the gap, nobody out there. That'll roll all the way to the fence and bring in a run. Cirillo rounding third. He's going to score easily and into second base with an RBI double. Jeremy Burnett's. That makes it 5-1. Already 8 hits against Meadows. And only in the 4th inning, so you know Jim Leyland just wants to wait as long as he can.
You talked about Brian Meadows trying to get some balls by hitters, but you see the kind of swings that the Milwaukee Brewer hitters are having. They're not being fooled a lot. A lot of pitches up in the strike zone, and you miss to guys like Burnett's, and he will hurt you.
So Marquise Grissom, the batter, he's already doubled in a run, barely missed a home run. He knocked it to the center field warning track for an automatic double and an RBI. He fouls one away, and you can see now that the Milwaukee hitters are really rearing back and swinging with all their might against Meadows. Ojala and Gabe Gonzalez warming up, a couple of lefties. Ojala's been up twice now. And the Marlin bullpen. Another one gapped. Eisenreich on the run, but that's between the outfielders. And that might be the last pitch that Meadows throws tonight. Another RBI double as Grissom cruises in. 6-1 Milwaukee.
Well, you may have wondered why 2 left-handers are warming up in the Marlin bullpen. Well, Jim Leyland see a little motion with his hand. He wants Greg Zahn to go out and talk to Brian Meadows, take a little more time to allow his bullpen to work a little bit. Well, the reason he has 2 lefties, he'll probably, if he brings one of them in here in this inning, use Gabe Gonzalez. Well, the pitcher spot is up 4th next inning. Then he would bring in Kurt Ojala because he would let Kurt pitch a little longer than Gabe Gonzalez. That's why the 2 lefties.
Valentin is going to hit left-handed. Although he has singled and been intentionally walked tonight, but he is not going to face Meadows. Here comes Jim.
And we talked about all the power that Valentin has had over his career. Most of it has been as a left-handed hitter and not as a right-hander, which is his weaker side.
That's it from Meadows. A quick hook for him tonight. Quick night. He gives up 10 hits and 6 earned runs in 3 2/3. Time for the call to the bullpen with Bell South, and we'll be right back. The Marlins and Pro Players Stadium are ready to host your group of 15 or more. Enjoy baseball and special group benefits right here. Call 930-HITS about your group today. The Brewers grouping together some hits here. 3 in the 4th inning. Another couple of runs have crossed the plate. Gabe Gonzalez, the lefty, coming on. He replaces Brian Meadows, roughed up in his big league debut. Valentin turns over to bat righty and takes a changeup in for strike 1.
Well, it's a better start than Gabe had in the ball game last night when he came in. His first pitch, he hit Jeremy Burnitz with bases loaded, and so he comes in with a good strike. First pitch strike to Valentin.
Valentin just can't seem to make it out in this series, and he hasn't tonight with a single and an intentional pass after the 3 home runs here yesterday. Jim Leyland talked about the difference in the right field situation here in Pro Players Stadium over the last couple of years. Now the ball seems to be flying out of here to right field, where a few years ago when he was managing the Pirates and came in, you couldn't hit anything out of here. You couldn't fire a cannon out to right field. Jim thinks, at least one theory, is that the weather and maybe El Nino has something to do with it.
Hey, when in doubt, blame El Nino.
That's right. And he says that there's no question the wind kicks up, blows to right field here a lot more than it used to. I got to believe that, because it's beyond the realm of possibility. At least I thought that you would ever see anybody hit 3 home runs in one game to right field in this park, and in the same game Cliff Floyd hits maybe the longest shot ever here to right field, 432 feet in the same game. Breaking ball over, and the count 3-2.
And you talk about the power of Valentin. He has 67 career home runs, 64 of those left-handed. So average-wise, he's about the same, righty or lefty, but much more power from the left side.
Of course, the dimensions of the park have never changed. There's high ball 4. The Valentin again has not made it out. Let's check out the Mazda league leaders now. Valentin with 3 home runs in the ball game yesterday. And he knocked our screen to black. Well, here we go. National League leaders during spring training. And Valentin had a hot spring, hitting .435.
Well, a lot of guys with hot springs. Saw Bobby Hughes' name, and you mentioned Burnitz with those 9 home runs.
Newfield with a foul back. He is singled and sacrificed, and he has helped to a 6-1 Milwaukee lead. 10 hits for the Brewers, and they have runners at first and second with 2 away. Good change up there. It's 0-2 on the wave by Newfield.
You know, you think of some of these young players on the Marlins. At one time, Gabe Gonzalez, pitching for Long Beach State, had a pitcher's duel against Cal State Fullerton. You know who his mound opponent was?
Who?
Mark Kotze.
No kidding. Mark pitched.
Yes.
I won't ask him how well. Down and in, and the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mark, of course, a legendary college player, voted to the all-time World Series team, College World Series. The legend at Cal State Fullerton. Golden Spikes Award winner. A little tapper. Gonzalez fields. He'll go to first, and that is the inning. 2 more runs, though, for Milwaukee. They knock Brian Meadows out of the contest. We bring it to the bottom half of the 4th inning with the Brewers in front now 6-1. The kids enjoy Major League Baseball at Pro Player every time the Marlins play because of the Ballpark Buddies Corporate Partners for Youth program. And tonight Mark Kotze is hosting kids from the Amigos Together for Kids program, courtesy of the Ballpark Buddies Corporate Partners for Youth. Kotze made the final out of the 3rd inning, so it'll be Zahn, Counsell, and Bird coming up against Jeff Juden.
Yeah, it's a good program, and a lot of the players involved in that program, too.
6-10-0 for Milwaukee, 1-4-0 for Florida. Zahn leads the offense. He doubled. Great job of inside-out hitting and taking a little ground ball by third base his first time. Then he hustled into second for the 2 baggers. So Greg is batting 1,000. 1 for 1 tonight. He was 1 for 1 before that, so 2 for 2. He's backed away, and the count is quickly 2-0. Greg getting his first start of the season tonight. Charles Johnson will catch tomorrow. And then on Monday, Zahn will catch again for the finale of the homestand. So CJ will get a couple of days off here. Marlin pitchers have been throwing an awfully high number of pitches. CJ's had to catch most of them. And Jim Leyland is afraid that Charles is going to be exhausted by the All-Star break at this pace.
Well, that's right. The other day, 200 pitches between all the pitchers CJ had to catch.
CJ, by the way, Zahn takes ball 4. CJ is not exhausted now, but the manager wants to take precaution to see that doesn't happen.
Number 30.
Gary Sheffield saw the doctor today. Shep got some good news. No fluid buildup on the knee, but still very sore. I wonder if we'll see him the rest of the series. And you know what the hot start he got off to? He wants to hit. Right now he's 2nd in the league in hitting with a couple of home runs. Counsell to bat now. He is 1 for 1. The Marlins have hit the ball well against Juden tonight. Only 4 hits to show for it, but Milwaukee has been a little bit lucky, especially in the previous inning when Eisenreich just stung a ball up the middle and Juden got his glove in the way, turned it into a double play. Fans, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Florida Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Florida Marlins.
Juden did something that'll drive most managers crazy. Walked the leadoff man, starting the inning with a 5-run lead.
Outside, Counsell hitting .412. He has gone 7 for 17, including a couple of triples. He takes another one up high. And if he is not careful, Juden could pitch the Marlins right back into this thing. It's still early enough that a couple of runs in this inning, and you'll say the Marlins do get back into the game. In the home half of the 4th inning. That's a strike call, 3-1.
It's one of those situations, you know, with Rich Donnelly giving the signs. He probably has confidence enough in Craig Counsell to not chase something out of the strike zone, so I doubt he's taking. So he's just going to try to zone and get a fastball in a good area that he can hit hard somewhere.
Fouls this one away. It's 3-2.
A young hitter, maybe one who doesn't have as much knowledge or experience with the strike zone. In this situation, early in the game, down by 5, maybe Rich Donnelly would have had the take sign on.
Full count on Counsell. Zahn runs, and the pitch is swung on and tapped too short. That keeps the Marlins out of the double play as Counsell is retired. Zahn was sent and into scoring position for Dave Bird. 1 man away.
into scoring position for the RBI machine, Dave Berg.
Well, Berg picked up his first big league hit and RBI with 1 stroke in the 2nd inning. Marvelous job of hitting, taking the ball to the opposite field. Jaha diving at first and missing it. And Dave with the keepsake of a lifetime as they threw the ball in. His first major league at bat. Derek Lee is on deck. He'll bat in the 9 slot. So he'll be hitting for Gabe Gonzalez. Ojala continues to warm up in the Florida bullpen. He'll be the next pitcher. 1 ball, 1 strike now on Berg.
You know, with Dave Berg up there, a former University of Miami standout. Where University of Miami had a big series this weekend against Florida State, but they're going to miss for about a month their outstanding third baseman, Pat Burrell. Has some back problems. He's going to be out for about a month.
Berg, 27 years old, at Charlotte last year. He batted .295. Dave has a little bit of speed. He stole 16 bases. Zahn getting his lead away from second base. Berg trying to bring him in and cut down this 5-run lead. The breaking ball outside, and it's 3-1. Juden really cruised through his first half last year, and he went blazing into the All-Star break at 11-2 for Montreal. There are many who thought, and Juden was among them, that he should have been an All-Star. He was bitterly disappointed that he was not sent to the All-Star game. There's ball 4. So Juden has walked not 1 but 2 men in the inning after getting a 5-run lead. And the Marlins will bring up Derek Lee. After that, though, after the All-Star game, Juden went south in a hurry. He was dealt to Cleveland on July 31st. And he promptly got bombed. He was 0-3 in 3 starts with a .614 earned run average. And they booted him into the bullpen. The Indians did for postseason play.
Well, he literally went south. Actually went southwest from Montreal to Cleveland.
That's right. And he did pitch in the series, but he did not get a chance to start against a Marlin team that he really did dominate. Lee hitting for the first time in this game. In spring training, he hit .308, but you see the big 0 under home runs. He'd love to remedy that and get his first Marlin home run right here. It would be a 3-run shot. He taps 1 foul off third, and it's 0-2. Derek, a large fella, 6'6". He's hit for excellent power in the minor leagues. For a long time, he was thought of as a golden prospect of the San Diego Padres farm system. So far, he is looking for an opportunity to impress the Marlins, and this would be a wonderful opportunity. He takes strike 3, though, so he'll sit down. 2 out in the inning as Lee takes strike 3.
You know, it's amazing how a pitcher can be all over the place, as Juden has here in the 4th inning. Walked a couple of guys, then get ahead to a pinch hitter and make an absolute perfect pitch to strike him out. Watch this fastball move. He starts it away, brings it back on the outside corner to perfection.
2 away, and here's Cliff Floyd. 4 strikeouts for Juden so far. But as Tommy said, he's been in and out with his command. He's walked 3 men, and he's hit a batter. The guy he hit was Cliff Floyd in the 1st inning. Cliff's been on base twice. He's got an on-base percentage of about 500%. I realize that's only 4 or 5 games into the season, but very high as he takes a strike. He's getting on base, and he hit in the first 4 games this season. Does not have a hit tonight, but he's homered in each of the last 3 games. On at second base, and Berg the runner at first. The Marlins have had their chances. They left the bases loaded in the 2nd. They have stranded 4 base runners in the first 4 innings. 2 men on again here. So Juden is giving them opportunities to cross the plate. Popped up. Cirillo coming toward home plate. The third baseman in foul ground makes the catch near home plate, and that's it. The Marlins now have left 6. We move ahead to the 5th inning. Milwaukee in front, 6-1. Baseball on Sports Channel is being brought to you in part by Bell South, proud to be the official telecommunications sponsor of the Florida Marlins, and by Hoover. Nobody gets dirt out like Hoover. Nobody. And by the Cleveland Clinic. Every life deserves world-class care. The Marlins have to bring in a new pitcher. The third of the ball game. This is Kurt Ojala, trailing 6-1, and he'll go after the bottom part of the Milwaukee order here. Kurt working out of the bullpen. And going to work against Jesse Levis here. Was singled a couple of times, and each time drove in a man. And he has gone 4 for 6 to start his season. Fly deep to left. Floyd races to the corner, but it's foul. And a noisy strike to Levis. Now 1-1.
Of course, we first saw Kurt Ojala last August. Made his major league debut against the Pirates, and then got his first major league win August 24th against St. Louis. Works off that changeup. Has a good changeup along with a fastball and a breaking ball, but he needs to get the off speed, the changeup, in for strikes.
And needs to keep the walk totals down to be really effective. Two and one on Levis.
And I would think, Dave, if Kurt Ojala continues to work well out of the bullpen, if any of the starters, after they've given a good enough opportunity, continue to struggle, he would be maybe the first guy to tap into in the starting rotation.
Another option after Ojala perhaps might be Jesus Sanchez. Counsell with a nice short hop stab, throws out Levis. Well, no change in the guy at second base. He continues to play very nice defense, makes all the plays he's supposed to, including this one, and he's hitting like a house of fire.
We talk so much how an infielder has to get himself in a good position, fielding that ball on the side, getting himself set to make the good throw over to first base. Had a little bit of time with Levis, the runner, but made it look nice and easy.
Quaker State slick replay. One away, and here's the pitcher, Jeff Juden. Game 3 of the series tomorrow afternoon at 1:05. It'll be Cal Eldred going for Milwaukee against Livan Hernandez. Stabbed by Ojala. Nice play. And there were 2 down. That one could have been a base hit. Probably would have been.
That's a good matchup tomorrow. That's a look at the aces of both staffs. Cal Eldred, big right-hander for the Brewers, and Livan Hernandez.
Livan will start the day wearing a glove on his hand and finish it with a World Series championship ring on the hand. The Marlins will be presenting the World Championship rings, and it's also replica ring day. Kids 12 and under get a World Series replica ring. And Tommy, you've seen it. It's not just a cheap piece of plastic. It's made out of metal. It's a heavy, nice item for the kids.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people claiming they're 12 and under.
Yeah. Lined into the gap, and that'll fall for a hit for Fernando Vina, his second hit. Real pesky at the top of the order. He was 2 for 5 yesterday. 2 more hits in this one.
Number 26.
Already with 9 hits on his season. They're getting good production up top.
I think it's a good touch, Dave, by the organization to go around the league and leagues, if you will, to distribute the other rings to the players who aren't here, who are playing for other teams.
Yep, the Marlins are going to send a couple of representatives to do that in the week to come and personally present Kevin Brown and Dennis Cook and Al Leiter, Robbie Nen, all the players who played such a vital role in the world title. They will get their rings personally. Nice gesture. First time I can remember that happening was when the Toronto Blue Jays won their first world title.
That's right. I remember Pat Gillick, the general manager then, did that personally. Went around and presented the rings to the players who weren't with the Blue Jays the next year.
Seemed to make a big difference that he took the time to do that, got on a flight. Some of the players were really surprised. Yeah, the Marlins will do the same. Another line shot, base hit into left. Cirillo on for the 3rd time. As Vina stays at second base, that is now a dozen hits for Milwaukee.
The first baseman, number 32, John.
All but a few of them have been singles. So the Brewers are singling the Marlins to death. Ahead 6-1 with 2 men on again.
Well, the Marlins were able to hold Cirillo last night. He was 0 for 5, but he's a .295 lifetime hitter. Good line drive guy, and you can't hold him down too long.
2 aboard for John Jaha. Ojala has to be careful. You're talking about a big power man here. Jaha has struck out twice and hit the ball on the ground into a force play. So he's 0 for 3. He drove in the Brewers' first National League run on opening day against Greg Maddux in Atlanta. Fouled away and the count 1-1. Well, Brian Meadows, you can't say he pitched well. 3 2/3 innings, giving up 6 earned runs, 10 hits, while walking a man. Some of the hits, 2 or 3 of them were not rocket shots, but there were several that were hit long. In fact, Grissom just missed a home run. He gave up a couple of doubles as well. There's a shot toward the gap. Eisenreich will make the play. Nicely done by Jim, going down around the shoe tops to pluck it away before it hits the grass. That saved a couple of runs. We go to the bottom of the 5th. The Brewers still ahead by 5. We bring you now the Discover Card payback playback. The Brewers with 2 on 2 out. The runners on the move, and Jaha hits one toward the gap in right center field.
Tell you, this ball was really stung by Jaha, and anytime you have to catch a sinking line drive in that area, it's one of those plays. It's almost an easier play if it's a little further away and you have to dive for it, or if it's up about belt high. That's not an easy play, and Jim Eisenreich right there to grab it.
Jim, of course, a more natural first baseman, but a nifty play in the outfield. Renteria, Jackson, and then Eisenreich will be the hitters against Juden. There is still time to climb back in it, but the Marlins have been held to 4 hits, even though Juden has been off and on with command, and Edgar 0 for 2. Only 3 for 16 in his career against Juden. That one hit right to the shortstop, Valentin, with a nifty backhand, though, and he is, among other things, swift of foot and fine with the glove, and you saw the 3 homers last night.
Well, he's impressed South Florida fans immediately with his play. 3 home runs last night. He's made some nice defensive plays. A lot of people may not have heard much of Jose Valentin.
Not a big guy. They list him at about 6'1". I don't think he's quite that tall, but obviously an outstanding athlete. Ryan Jackson shoots one toward the National League scoreboard, and that is going to fall on the warning track. That'll be a double all the way as Grissom fires to the cutoff man. Ryan Jackson just keeps hitting and hitting and hitting.
Yeah, how about, speaking of impressing people, how about the way Ryan Jackson has impressed everyone? Scorched a base hit, a single off the wall in the 3rd inning that could have been extra bases, but it was played nicely by Burnitz. Then he takes one the other way. And even in the 1st inning, his first time up, he had a nice swing on a line drive to left field. So he's hit the ball on the nose all 3 times tonight.
All through spring training, we saw one after another go to the opposite field off Ryan's bat. That's how he made the club, hitting .373. Eisenreich takes a strike. Jim 0 for 2. He has whiffed and hit into a double play, but not a routine double play. He scorched a line drive, and Juden, who is 6'8", was big enough to get in the way. It deflected off his glove, and it wound up a twin killing. And here's another one off the pitcher's glove. Juden will throw him out. Holding at second, Ryan Jackson. There are 2 gone, and Izzy just keeps hitting it to the wrong dude.
Now batting.
He's like a monument in the middle of that diamond. Eisenreich can't hit it by him.
You know what? In a couple of weeks, Jim Eisenreich is going to turn 39 years of age, and he still gets up that first base line in a hurry. This is a bang-bang play. Juden just got it there in time.
Up to Mark Kotsay to pick up this man at second. The Marlins down 6-1, but they're getting some chances. Florida has left 6. The Brewers have left 9 men on base. Fouled away by Kotsay. Mark, last summer, when he came up to the big league club, got 3 at-bats against Juden, and he had 2 hits off. That was at a time when none of the world champion Marlins were getting anything off of Juden. Still 0-2. We check out some scores from around the league, brought to you by Chevrolet. The Mets go extras again but win. St. Louis got another home run from McGuire. Mark McGuire with 4. The Diamondbacks of Arizona still have not won a game in their history. Did he go? He did not, said Charlie Relaford, the third base umpire. No swing, 1-2 on Kotsay. Mark's batting average has dipped below 300 for the first time this year, 278. Although a single will solve that and get it back over 300. It would also drive in his 3rd run of the year. Blue foul. The other scores from the American League now. Toronto with a big win. Baltimore has now won 4 in a row after losing on opening day.
Well, they get a nice pitched game yesterday from veteran Doug Drabek. It was his 150th career win. I think Kamenicki picked up the win today.
A man at second, 2 away. Drifting toward the gap. Grissom got the good jump and runs it down. The Marlins waste the double. They leave a runner stranded, and after 5, still 6-1 Milwaukee.
Hey fans, now it's time for the Brave Hurries.
Catch a live one with Marlins baseball, and season ticket packages starting at only $110. Good seats available. Call 930-HITS. Marlins baseball. Catch a live one. Billy the Marlin caught a couple of buckets full of water. The Brewers making this National League tradition their own. Billy getting doused.
Well, they've been in the National League for less than a week, and they already found out the tradition here at Pro Player Stadium.
Burnitz will lead off here against Kurt Ojala's 6-1 Milwaukee in the top of the 6th. Burnitz has had a good game. 2 hits, a single, a double, an RBI, 2 runs scored. Grissom on deck has doubled twice, and Valentine, the very talented shortstop, has been on base all 3 times. So this part of the order has been trouble all night.
We talked a little bit last night as to how the Brewer organization has secured quite a few of their young players to long-term deals. Burnitz had such a great season last year, a career year. He was really rewarded.
He hit 27 home runs.
He signed a 4-year contract. He didn't double. He didn't triple. He didn't quadruple his salary. His salary went up 16 times as to what it was last year.
That's like the option year on your deal coming up in the year, what, 2011 or something?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
16 times.
Yeah, they figure if I'm still alive, then it'll go up 16 times.
Honey, I got a raise. Not a raise, that's a national debt. Not bad, but he really is starting to become a powerful force. He throws the bat here. The ball foul at the plate, and the bat landed in the stands. Well, Van actually caught it on one bounce off the track. Does he get to keep it, though?
Well, they usually pull the old switcheroo. Let's hope they do, because we'll tell the Brewers that's a tradition in this league, too.
Yeah, that's what he's being told.
You know, obviously, you don't realize the importance of a gamer to a hitter. Now, he didn't break the bat, so it's still alive. He's gotten himself a couple of knocks with it tonight. So that's his gamer. So now, hopefully, Doug Manzolino, the first base coach, is going to go down there and tell the youngster, don't worry, have some patience. We'll get you another bat from the bat rack.
Then again, Milwaukee is a team on a budget, a fairly low payroll, so we'll see if they give up a bat.
But wait a minute, we just told you Burnett's went 16 times in the salary department.
I mean, he could write a check for 14 of them right now out of his back pocket, give the kid his choice of colors. But no bat for the youngster yet. Counsell plucks away a potential single and throws him out.
And that little kid down there saying, yeah, that serves you right.
Take my bat away.
Nice play, Craig Counsell.
Counts ranging into the outfield to take away a hit here.
He just makes it look so nice when he goes to his left. few more steps into the outfield. When you make that play, if you know who the runner is, you know how much time you have.
Now Grissom, who is 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles. Again, he'll test Counsell, but he's up to it once again, and there are 2 down.
He usually passes that test.
Yeah. So a couple of ground ball outs. Ojala forcing them to hit it on the deck. And the way things have gone tonight, Milwaukee with 12 hits. That's a good idea. 6-1, Milwaukee with the lead here in the 6th inning. Still no sign of a bat for that youngster down the right field line. That could be a huge upset if he doesn't walk out of here with a bat. It'd be a real shame. Valentine in the game with a single and a couple of walks. Still has not made an out in this series. If he doesn't get a bat, he's gotten all sorts of TV time. So he's a star back home, wherever home may be.
Yeah, look, he's already having his agent call.
Floyd coming on, and Renteria has it go off the glove. So Valentine is on base again. Tough play for either Floyd or Renteria. That'll probably be a base hit. Edgar almost came up with a gem.
Well, he had a long way to go. No chance for Cliff Floyd. He couldn't get there. Not only did he have a long way to go, Edgar had to also turn around with that backhand and try to grab it. Right about there. That's where it becomes difficult. Try to reach up with that backhand. He actually got there, but when he reached up, it looked like the ball got him on the heel of the glove a little bit.
Well, look how far deep into the outfield he is.
Yeah. And it is a base hit all the way.
13 hits now for Milwaukee. Valentine, 2 singles, 2 walks in this one, after 3 homers and a walk last night. The Marlins tried intentionally walking him in the game. They did that. Might be a good idea from now on. Newfield with a fly to straightaway center, and an easy play from Mark, and Kotze puts it away on the back pedal. So that is it. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. Milwaukee has left 10 on base. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and the Brewers lead it 6-1. Baseball on Sports Channel is being brought to you in part by Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide, and by Mazda. See what happens when a car company has more engineers and fewer accountants. 6-1, Milwaukee with a commanding lead here in the last half of the 6th inning. Dave O'Brien, Tommy Hutton with you, and sorry to report that rather sad tale. The youngster in right field still does not have a bat to show for the wonderful lunging stab of that Jeremy Burnett's flinging bat. And maybe if there's a Brewer watching the game in the clubhouse, as Zahn flies one toward the alley, and that falls for an extra base hit. He is heading for second. He is on his way to third. The play at third base, not in time, and he has a triple. A triple to go with his double in the 2nd inning. Zahn trying to spark this Marlin team.
Well, and Greg Zahn stays perfect on the year. A double, a triple. He walked, and he came into the game having gone 1 for 1. So he's 3 for 3 on the year. This one, Marquise Grissom, who can chase down a lot of fly balls, was shading a little bit into left center. Looked like it had a lot of hang time, but it was so deep into that gap that Marquise couldn't even catch up to it. And once it got to the wall, Greg Zahn knew he had 3. Good solid swing. We saw Greg last year get some big base hits too. Remember the big home run he hit in Houston?
I do.
To win a ball game.
He drove in some big runs for this Marlin team during the run for the world title. Craig Counsell 1 for 2. Now, if Craig Counsell flips a bat into the stands, you know he's going to may take that bat back, but he's going to give the kid one of his own. Maybe one of the Brewers is listening, and we'll remedy that. We're rooting for the kid. Counsell has been all over the place tonight. Defensively, he's made a couple of wonderful plays, and a batting average at .389 to start. There he is. He's a good-looking kid, hanging out with Dad tonight. This will get in a run. Jaha with a backhand stab to make the out, but Zahn comes in to make it 6-2, so the Marlins inch a little bit closer. Counsell with his 2nd RBI of the year.
Now batting, the 3rd baseman, number 58, Dave Bird.
Base is empty with 1 away, and here's Dave Bird. Berg perfect his first couple of times up as a big leaguer, an RBI single and a walk. Florida trying to keep it going. John Cangelosi has moved to the on-deck area, so he'll bat for Kurt Ojala. The Marlins without a lot of heavy hitters in the lineup tonight, of course, with Gary Sheffield out and Bobby Bonilla probably another 10 days from joining the club in the lineup. And so it's going to be guys who put the ball in play like Cangelosi and Berg and Counsell and Kotsay if the Marlins are going to stage a big time comeback. They're down 6-2.
Well, you put out your call to the Brewer clubhouse, maybe Matt Rosenthal, maybe Rosie will get one of those guys down there to get on the ball, get on the stick.
You know, that's a great idea. Rosie, a very kind-hearted soul, and of course he's on the Marlin payroll. Still nothing yet. He said, "Mister, could you spare a glove, a batting glove maybe?" Nothing yet.
Hey, the kid's a die-hard Marlin fan. He may have turned him down.
Well, that'd be very cold indeed. He brought his glove. Dad alongside, you know. He's into the game. Great big smile there. Having a great time. But he should have a piece of lumber, too. Line foul toward the bullpen in the right field corner. We're going to shame somebody into getting that done, aren't we? Going to make it darn near impossible for that Brewer bus to leave without that kid getting a bat. 13 hits for Milwaukee, the Marlins with 6. And neither side with a home run. Popped up to left field. Routine play for Newfield, just has to wait for it to come down. They're 2 away.
Saw the move. We saw John Cangelosi in the on-deck circle, and I think obviously if Dave Berg had reached base, Kanji would have gotten a chance to hit. But with nobody on base and 2 out, and with Kurt Ojala out there throwing the ball pretty well and wanting to get another inning or 2 of work, Jim Leyland elects to send the left-handed hitting pitcher up there to hit.
The base is empty, and Juden misses low ball 1. 0 for 7 as a big league hitter. Those at bats last season when he got several chances to start for the Marlins. Initially, Kurt was in the Arizona Diamondbacks camp, but was released, and the Marlins picked him up immediately and made the club in the bullpen. First major league team he's made out of spring training. It's 3-0 to the pitcher all of a sudden, with Cliff Floyd up next. So a walk here, and this could get pretty interesting. Cliff, remember, is homered in 3 straight games. On the scoreboard, Colorado has a 1-0 lead on Houston in the 4th inning. Philadelphia is leading Atlanta 3-1 in the 7th. That's ball 4, and Ojala works his way to first base with the free pass. Fan Sports Channel and the Marlins would like to say hello to all viewers watching us tonight on TCI in Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties. Thank you for your support of Sports Channel Florida. Mike Myers, the left-hander, throwing in the bullpen for Milwaukee. A lefty hitter up there in Cliff Floyd. A right-hander next. Juden does have a 4-run lead. He has hit Floyd with a pitch on the foot. He's walked him. And he's also gotten him to pop up. Up and away, ball 1.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it when you were talking about Kurt Ojala making the major league team for the first time, and you look back, this is his 9th year in pro ball. So 9 years or 8 years prior to this one, he's broken camp in the minor leagues.
That's a lot of buses, a lot of cheeseburgers, a lot of days ins. through a minor league career for Kurt Ojala, but he never quit. Did not give up on the dream.
Yeah, you got to make the most of that minor league meal money.
What was it when you were in the minors?
The very first year I played in A-ball, it was $3.50 a day.
Tommy, you can't get a cup of coffee in Des Moines for that. Lined up the middle, but right there is Valentin for the catch and the out. The Marlins do get a run. We've wrapped up 6. Joe Angel on the way back over. It is 6-2 Milwaukee.
Baseball fans here, Joe Angel back with Tommy Hutton as we go to work in the top of the 7th inning. Tommy, I thought maybe Jeff Jude made a mistake. He walked the pitcher. You give Floyd a chance to hit a 2-run homer. It didn't happen, but it was a possibility.
One of the things we've seen tonight, so far the Marlins have stranded some guys on base. They've had a few opportunities to come through with that big hit and maybe bring it a little closer to Juden, who has struggled with his control.
Well, now the left-hander Kurt Ojala will try to keep it a 6-2 ball game. I mean, in this game, you never know what's going to happen. There's still some time left here. And Ojala gives up a base hit to center field. Oh, Jesse Levis gets aboard. He's had 3 hits in this game. Jesse Levis, the backup catcher for Phil Garner's Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, if you've been following the saga with us, I know you were over on radio, Joe, but remember the youngster who...
I was on radio wondering why in the world the Milwaukee Brewers didn't give this young man a bat.
Well, we finally shamed them into doing that, but I think it paid off. And in between innings, the first base coach, Doug Manzolino, went down there. You can see the excitement in that kid's eye. He got the bat from Jeremy Burnett.
Well, that's what should have happened, too.
That's great.
I guess, Tommy, you could say that the game bat was traded for a bat to be named later. And it was, finally. And now here's an old friend, Eric Owens. He was a Marlin for about 4 days during spring training. He will come up to hit for the pitcher Juden here in the 7th inning. And he takes a knee-high strike. You know, I thought that young man's father made a tremendous play, able to field that bat on 1 hop off the warning track down there. I mean, that's not easy.
Well, a good ending to the story.
Good breaking ball.
And speaking of stories, it was an interesting story that brought Eric Owens to the Marlins for those 4 days. It was at a time when Dave Dombrowski wasn't sure what the status of John Cangelosi and Jim Eisenreich was going to be. And then when he realized that the 2 veterans were going to remain with the ball club, there was no room for Owens.
Yeah, Eric Owens said that after he had been with the team for about 4 days and got the chance to play a little bit, the general manager, Dave Dombrowski, called him into his office, had a little meeting, and Eric Owens, he felt that he was going to be told what his role on the team was going to be. Instead, he was told he was on his way to Milwaukee. So, a very unusual situation, but that's how it happened. And he got a piece of that one. 1 ball and 2 strikes is the count to Owens. Same 2 teams again tomorrow. World Series Championship Ring Day here at the ballpark. All youngsters 12 and under will receive a replica championship ring. Got to have that. That's a keeper. That's a memory.
That's something to show off in school.
Into left center. The ball stays up, though. Kotze makes the chest-high catch. Now the top of the order, Fernando Vina will come up to hit. Now it's time for the Aflac trivia question. Brought to you by Aflac, insuring 40 million people worldwide. April 28, 1997, this player earned his first major league hit off of Rob Nen. Can you name him? We'll give you some time. Fernando Vina, he's got a couple of hits here tonight, 2 for 4, 2 singles. One of them of the infield variety. And he'll take a strike.
I think the hint on the answer to our question is that player is now with the Marlins.
gets into second, and the return is too late to get the double play, but they do get the lead runner. So Levis is retired, and Vina will be safe on a fielder's choice. And now we'll take a look at Jeff Cirillo.
That's really a tough double play to complete when you have a speedy runner like Vina, because Ryan Jackson made a good play to get the grounder, make a good throw. Edgar's right there, comes across with a strong throw, a little bit offline, but still wouldn't have been in time. So that's a tough play when you have a runner like Vina.
Hey, nice catch by Ojala here.
Hey, he has to come back and save it, keep it from going in the dugout.
Now here's Jeff Cirillo to hit with 2 outs. And Cirillo's had a big day. He's had a walk and a couple of singles. Has gone 2 for 3, and he has scored a run. You know, Cirillo, Tommy, is a guy who, whenever he falls into a slump, and I would imagine he's not the only one, but he admits to it. Whenever he's slumping, he'll take his bat home with him, and he'll sleep with it. He'll put it under the covers, keep it nice and warm, treat it gently. Maybe a midnight snack. Runner going.
Well, I know his wife hates it when he's in a slump, too.
And Greg Zahn could not get the ball out of his mitt there. I often wondered how his wife felt about that, but I'm sure she understands. Hey, whatever you have to do to snap out of a slump. Have you ever slept with a bat? I mean to end your slump.
I can't say that I ever did that, no.
One and one to Cirillo, and he take it low and inside. 2-1 the count.
I know some guys used to take their bats back to the hotel room and stand in front of the mirror, take swings, you know, just to try to work on the stroke. Hey, a slump does a lot of things to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll make you crazy. It'll make you do things you wouldn't ordinarily do. Hey, golfers, you know, when they're struggling, they'll sleep with their putters. Well, ground ball to Renteria, nicely picked up by El Nino. On to first, and the side retired. No runs on a hit. They'll leave one. We head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Renteria, Jackson, Eisenreich coming up to hit.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Florida Marlin Baseball on Sports Channel is being brought to you in part by Discount Auto Parts. Go with the pros you know. And by Publix, working hard at putting only the best on your home plate. Here's Edgar Renteria to lead off in the bottom of the 7th inning. Left-hander Mike Myers out of the Milwaukee bullpen delivers a call strike. Well, Tom, we saw Myers in the game last night, and very unusual, too, because he came out of the bullpen with a count of 3 balls and no strikes. Interestingly enough, on Edgar Renteria, who is now leading off. But Steve Woodard had been the pitcher before Mike Myers, who ran the count to 3-0. Myers came in, he threw 2 pitches. He completed the walk and then left the game. The walk was charged to Steve Woodard, so in effect Myers never pitched in that game, even though he did throw 2 pitches. And he does get credit for an appearance. Into the corner. Hey, what a catch there. Jeremy Burnett's into foul territory and made the catch on the run just shy of the warning track down there.
A nice play by the Milwaukee right fielder, because he had a long way to go, Jeremy Burnett's, and once you cross into that foul territory, you know you're getting close to the wall. He's right there, reaches out, stays with it, good concentration to complete that play.
Now here's Jackson. 1 gone, bases empty, bottom of the 7th. Here Milwaukee leading it 6-2.
It was an interesting scenario with that move too, that Phil Garner, when he brought in Mike Myers, he knew that Jim Leland would pinch hit Gary Sheffield. So if Myers had not come in, and he would have had to work he'd have to at least throw 1 pitch to Gary Sheffield,
right,
before you can take him out. So he didn't want that to happen, so he went ahead and made the move before.
Chopper foul. But that's something that you see happen once in a while. It happened too often. actually come into a ball game and throw a couple of pitches, and yet officially it's like he never pitched.
I saw a guy, a left-hander named Darrell Knowles, came into a game one time with bases loaded and 2 men out, and before he threw a pitch, picked a runner off. So
yeah,
and was pinch hit for next inning. So he never threw a pitch.
There you go. Well, Myers was saying before the game here tonight that when he made his major league debut, Jackson down the left field line and maybe for extra bases too. Well, maybe not. Up with the ball in new field, and he gets it into second base. And Jackson, you're down 4 runs. You don't take any chances. But Ryan Jackson has come up with a 3-hit ball game here. He's gone 3 for 4. And now we'll take a look at Jim Eisenreich.
Well, what a nice night for Ryan Jackson. I mean, he gets this base hit off the tough lefty. Mike Myers is always difficult for left-handers to go after because of his delivery. He stays right with it, doesn't try to do too much or pull anything. Stays on the ball for a real long time and then shows a quick bat, is able to sneak it over that third base bag. But the carom played by Newfield held Ryan to the single.
And Eisenreich takes the ball. Izzy, and the game's 0 for 3. Although twice, Tommy, he's hit the ball up the middle, and twice Jeff Juden has gotten in the way. And he's hit the ball hard. Big bender, but stays inside. Jeff Juden, 6 feet 8 inches tall, twice got in the way of shots hit up the middle by Jim Eisenreich. One, he turned into a double play when he deflected the ball out to Valentine. And the fastball is inside. So the count 3-0. You got about Mike Myers right there, Tommy. When he made his major league debut, had his family make the trip to watch him pitch. He got called on to pitch in relief. He came in through 1 pitch, got an out, and then was taken out of the game. That was it. Thanks for coming. You got to see him throw 1 pitch. The next day, again, he came out of the bullpen. He threw 1 pitch, got a double play ball, and then left. That was it for him. So he got off to a great start. And of course, a 1-time Marlin.
So his family got to see him throw 2 pitches and get 3 outs.
He got 3 outs. This guy's unhittable, they thought.
Well, I'm just looking back. Ryan Jackson now has 17 at bats, has 8 base hits.
You know, Tommy, if I'm not mistaken, that's a .471 batting average. Well, they thought about getting the out at second base. Instead, he'll go to first. So Eisenreich is retired 4-3. With Jackson running, able to get the second base, and now Kotze will come up to hit.
And now the center fielder, number 4, Mark Kotze.
Now the answer to the Aflac trivia question. April 28, 1997. First hit against Robbie Nen. Who is he?
Well, we mentioned that he's wearing a Marlin uniform now. He pinch hit tonight. Derek Lee. Remember, the Padres had Wally Joyner on the disabled list, so they needed some help at first base. So Derek was called up from Las Vegas. Filled in nicely till Wally came back.
And Derek Lee is now a Marlin, and Rob Nen is now a Giant.
So the only guy that stayed put was Wally Joyner.
Life at the old ballpark. Kotze is 0 for 3 tonight, so he's due. Good fastball. Now the right-hander Bob Wickman in the Milwaukee bullpen. You know, the Marlins right now in dire need of a bunch of hits. Keep the inning going with 2 outs here. Runner in scoring position. And Kotze takes that sidearm breaking ball way outside.
Well, they have 7 hits tonight, but 5 of those have come from Ryan Jackson and Greg Zahn.
Milwaukee leading at 6-2. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning here. Again, dropping down, and a fly ball hit to left. Newfield backing up. He'll get there. The side is retired. So at Pro Player Stadium now, we played a full 7, and right now Milwaukee is in command. Wednesday is another baseball night in Florida. Hey, you don't want to miss it when the Marlins take on the Phillies in Philadelphia. An Eastern Division showdown. Coverage beginning at 6:30 exclusively on Sports Channel Florida. We'll be in Philadelphia and in Pittsburgh. And the first road trip of this 1998 season. Getaway day Monday. Jaha right away hits it to deep right field. And look at Jim Eisenreich make a one-handed catch on the edge of the warning track out there.
Well, how about the last two times up for John Jaha? He hit that sinking liner in the 5th inning that Jim Eisenreich came over into right center and caught about ankle high. And this time he hits a liner that he thought might have been over Jim's head, and Eisy was able to chase it. Make a good play.
Now we see the right-hander Oscar Enriquez on in relief after left-hander Kurt Ojala had gone 3 scoreless. And Tom, you mentioned Ojala so far this season, 5 scoreless innings out of the bullpen.
Yeah, his stock is rising right now.
Jeremy Burnitz with a couple of hits in this game. He's gone 2 for 4. RBI and a couple of runs scored. Enriquez with a breaking ball, misses low and inside. Well, Brian Meadows started in his major league debut, went 3 2/3 and gave up 6 runs on 10 hits. Good fastball there. Gabe Gonzalez in the 4th inning, Ojala in the 5th, and now Enriquez in the 8th inning. We saw Enriquez yesterday. He came on in relief in the 8th inning when the ball game got away from Florida, and in only a 1/3 of an inning gave up 3 runs. He's been struggling a little bit. His velocity hasn't been what they expected. But they got him from Houston as part of the Moises Alou deal. Fastball. Got him on the inside corner. So 2 up and 2 down. And now we'll take one more look at Marquise Grissom. Oscar Enriquez with the power pitch of this game.
Now the power pitch is a good fastball. Our Discount Auto Parts power pitch, 90 miles an hour, but good movement to catch the inside corner. There's, look at that fastball. They're trying to see if Oscar can get more consistency with that 90 to 95 mile an hour heat.
Of course, he was advertised as being able to throw about 98 miles an hour, 99 miles an hour, maybe. So he may be building up to that.
Of course, earlier in his career, he went through a devastating illness. I mean, there was a time in his career early with the Houston Astros organization where his fastball was in the 70s, and he was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, and it took away a lot of strength. His weight was down, his fastball velocity was down.
Yeah, doctors kept examining him, and they found nothing wrong. After a while, the Astros organization felt that maybe there was nothing wrong with him, that it was more of a mental thing. And well, eventually they found that to be very serious. They found out exactly what was going on. He underwent surgery, and now he's back, big and strong again.
And there were even some doctors at that time that thought that he might not pitch again.
Yeah. Oscar Enriquez got a very lively arm. Big guy, throws hard. That last one, by the way, 94 miles an hour. Chopper hit to third, and look at Berg cradle it and throw him out. That's called getting the body in front of it, and Berg, nicely done defensively there. And El Señor Enriquez, he gets him 1, 2, and 3. Fans, the Florida Marlins, Coca-Cola, and the South Florida Toyota dealers, they'd like to urge you to stop by your local AMC theaters, pick up your special Coca-Cola card. Look for the $10 real deal inside. Marlin baseball. Catch a live one. And that's a good deal, too. You can use that $10 Coca-Cola card to get a ticket to a ball game. A 22-ounce Coca-Cola. You get a bag of peanuts. You get a Miami Herald. All kinds of goodies. And that card is absolutely free. Well, Greg Zaun's had a big ball game here tonight, Tommy. He's had a double, a triple, a base on balls, and he has scored the only 2 Marlin runs. The count 2 balls and no strikes. Well, Johnny had a great spring, both offensively and defensively, and he has now continued that into the regular season. And he got that good spring, Tommy, right in the midst of a lot of distractions.
Yeah, I think it showed a lot because, yeah, there were a lot of things swirling around his head, wondering if he was going to be a Marlin, if he was going somewhere else. But through it all, he continued to work hard in spring and have a good spring.
And look at this. He's come up with 3 hits. He's had a single, a double, and a triple now. In addition to a base on ball, he's been on base 4 times in this game. And now Counsell in here to hit. Now Counsell is 1 for 3. Had a single his first time up, and then his infield ground out actually drove in a run back in the 6th inning. And ball 1 to him. Need a couple of hits and then maybe a long ball here. For a hit. That's 1 more hit right there. So Counsell gets aboard. And now it'll be Dave Berg coming up to hit. And right now the would-be tying run is going to be in the on-deck circle.
Number 58, Dave Berg.
Well, again, just taking the left-hander's pitch, was inside, staying on the inside half of the ball. A little inside-out swing by Craig Counsell. Area of the game that he wants to continue to work hard at, and that is hitting off left-handed pitching, and Mike Myers a tough lefty.
I see Phil Garner coming out, so he's going to be going to the bullpen here in the bottom of the 8th inning with Milwaukee leading at 6-2, but Florida right now knocking on the door. They've got a couple of men on base with nobody out. Time to call the bullpen with Bell South. All right, here we go. Joe Angel and Tommy Hutton back here at Pro Players Stadium. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. And Florida is making some noise right now. Right-hander Bob Wickman is on in relief here. And he'll go to work on Dave Berg. And with Gary Sheffield lurking in the on-deck circle, it looks as though Gary Sheffield's going to be coming up to pinch hit. And if Berg gets on base, well, Gary Sheffield would represent the tying run. That ball gets away momentarily, but there's no advance. 1 ball and no strikes.
One thing a hitter has to really try to do against Wickman is make him bring the ball up. He has a good sinker, good hard slider. He tries to keep everything knees to below.
Well, we saw him in the ball game here last night. He came on in relief in the 7th inning and would eventually pitch an inning and a third and giving up only 1 hit. And among the hitters he faced last night was Gary Sheffield, and he struck him out. So Berg in here, who has been on base twice, a single, a walk, and a pop-up. His single drove in a run. His first major league hit up the middle. Valentin gets 1, and he gets 2. And on the play, Zahn winds up at 3rd. My goodness. Again, Berg hit the ball hard. But Milwaukee turns it into a double play.
You know, it seems like the last couple of nights when the Marlins have gotten that opportunity, it's not because of lack of not hitting the ball well. They've hit some balls hard. That time, ball hit well up the middle by Dave Berg, but moving to his left was Valentin to turn it into a double play.
Yeah, they call that hitting and hard luck. You hit the ball hard, and hey, things don't happen. Amazing. It happened about 3 times here tonight. Now Sheffield, he'll take it low.
That's right. We saw that line drive that was smoked up the middle, turned into a double play. Ball hit by Jim Eisenreich. Last night, Mark Kotze on a hit and run hit a ball, and Valentin was right there to field it.
It's happened to Jim Eisenreich twice in the game here tonight. Now it's happened to Berg. All you can do is keep hitting the ball hard. And on a check swing, he foul tipped it. So the count to Sheffield, even up at 1-1. Of course, Sheffield off to a great start. Got the bad knee right now and unable to play because he cannot run. But he can pinch hit. And he'll take one low. Sheffield, a batting average of .556. He's gone 5 for 9. 2 of the hits being 3-run home runs. Infield backed up all the way. Sheff trying to get a hold of one here and give Florida a quick 2. Here it comes. Breaking ball. Got under it too much. Into shallow left. Coming on Newfield. The side retired. So back-to-back singles, but then the double play ball and the pop-up, and the Marlins come up empty. We head to the 9th. Well, let's see how the divisions break now. We'll take a look at the Chevron standings in the National League Eastern Division. You see the Atlanta Braves looking up at the New York Mets. The Mets won again today, Tommy.
Yeah, the Mets have played more innings than anybody, too. And how about the Cubs? Off to a 4-1 start. A little difference in their 0-14 last year. Cardinals right there with them.
Well, Mark McGwire, another home run today. He has now homered in the first 4 regular season games. That ties a Major League record. The Giants, the defending division champions, off to a good start.
Yeah, a team to watch, too, Colorado. They seem to be on a mission, and they're off to a pretty good start, too. Arizona looking for their first win.
Yeah, the Padres, they'll be a good ball club, too. American League Eastern Division, the Orioles, no surprise there.
Getting offense and good pitching, Baltimore is.
You got one of the better pitching staffs in baseball. Central Division, hey, Chicago, the Indians on top. That's going to be an interesting battle. Western Division, Anaheim and Texas up at the top. Now Valentin, retired by Jim Eisenreich in right field.
I think the team to watch in that American League West is Anaheim. A lot of people talking about Seattle. They have such unbelievable offense, but their pitching is in disarray, and I don't know how long it's going to hold up. And Anaheim seems to be a pretty solid ball club. There's Vic Derensburg. He's come on here to pitch this 9th inning, and again, pitchers coming out of the bullpen trying to show Jim Leyland, and they can come in with consistency. A little fastball and slider is what Derensburg features.
You always saw Valentin retired on 1 pitch. It's the first time he's been retired the entire game. He had been on base a total of 4 times after his 3 home run game here last night. Well hit, and Berg couldn't quite catch up to it. And so Newfield gets aboard. He's had a couple of hits in the game.
Actually, it's the first time in the series Valentin was retired because he walked the other time up last night, aside from the 3 home runs.
Yeah, been Valentin's weekend here. Here's Jesse Levis, who has had 3 hits. And see Martinez into the ball game here to pinch run over at first base.
Valentin weekend, and I forgot to send flowers.
He's had a couple of days to remember so far in South Florida. There's Martinez, the pinch runner. Now Milwaukee with a total of 15 hits in this game. My goodness. They've been a very good offensive team in the early going. Viñas had a couple of hits. Cirillo's had 2 hits and a walk. Jeremy Burnitz has had 2 hits. Grissom with a couple of hits. Valentin has been on base 4 times. Jesse Levis has had 3 hits. From top to bottom, they've been dangerous. There's a high fastball.
Hey, everybody in their lineup at least 2 hits except John Jaha. He's been shut out, but he hit a couple of balls hard to right field, a couple of line drives.
His last 2 times up, yeah. Well, Marlin pitching has struggled in the early going. You see Jesse Levis making his first start here tonight, and it's been a good one for him. His single drove in a run in the 2nd. Another single drove in another run in the 3rd, and then he singled again in the 7th inning. In the bottom of the 9th inning, it'll be the top of the order coming up to hit. And right now it's a 4-run game. Milwaukee leading it 6-2. Same 2 teams again tomorrow. I thought the first too late. Tomorrow Cal Eldred will go against Levan Hernandez. Game time at 1:05. Game 3 of this 4-game series. And there are seats available, so come on down. Watch the Marlins receive their world championship ring. There's Levan Hernandez. He is the only pitcher to win so far this year. He won on opening day. What a day that was. And now ball 3 to Jesse Levis.
You're talking right there to Eric Ludwig, who certainly could have won very easily last night. Threw 7 beautiful innings, had 7 strikeouts.
Yep. Gave up only 4 hits. He deserved a better fate last night. And there's a 4-pitch walk. So Jesse Levis has now been on base 4 times. Well, you see a ball game like this, Tommy, with the walks and Milwaukee getting a total of 15 hits, a lot of extended innings. And you look at Greg Zahn, it's a very tough game to catch. The other day, Charles Johnson caught a game in which the pitching staff threw a total of 200 pitches. That's by the end of games like that, boy, you can feel it the next day.
Well, you think about it, not only is it a physical job to do that, but it's a mental job to call the pitches, to block a lot of pitches, to catch a lot of pitches that aren't in the strike zone. So both catchers, Charles Johnson and Greg Zahn, are going to have their work cut out for them. Here's Mark Loretta. He's going to pinch hit for Wickman.
We're in the top of the 9th inning. Milwaukee leading at 6-2, and the pitch to Loretta is popped up into shallow left center. Kotze and Floyd converging, and Kotze handles it. Now the top of the order, Fernando Vina will get one more at bat here.
Kotze and Cliff Floyd conversing out there. They were both there. Could have made the play. Center fielder always has a preference if he's calling it. And Cliff and Kotze still discussing that. Cliff saying, hey, I'm 240 pounds. You don't want to run into me. Make sure you yell a little louder.
Well, Greg's on out to have a couple of words with the left-hander Vic Harrisburg. Hey, nice job by Ojala here tonight as he goes 3 scoreless. And the right-hander Oscar Enriquez also came out of the bullpen and picked up a 1-2-3 inning, so that's a confidence builder for him, too.
Well, I tell you what, that 1-2-3 inning was the only one of the night.
Of course, he struggled last night, so it's nice to be able to come right back and get the job done. And I'm sure that's what Jim Leland had in mind. Fernando Vina in here now. He's had a couple of hits. He's gone 2 for 5 and a stolen base.
But managers like to do that with rookies and veterans. I know Phil Garner wanted to get Doug Jones in the game last night, even though it wasn't a save situation, because Jones had given up a couple of home runs to the Braves the night before. And Jones has been around for 21 years.
Now ball 2 to Vina. Well, around the league in the National League today, Cincinnati beat the Dodgers 3-1. The Dodgers have yet to win a game this year. And there's all kinds of controversy still surrounding Mike Piazza.
Yeah, it must be that new ownership. They can't win.
Yeah, the Dodgers are off to a struggling start. And there's ball 3. The Mets won again. They beat the Pirates 7-6. St. Louis 8-6. They beat the Padres. Mark McGwire, his 4th home run. The Cubs win. Cubs win. They beat the Expos again 3-1. Hey, the Cubs are leading their division right now. San Francisco beat Arizona. The Diamondbacks have yet to win. There's ball 4. The 8th inning, Philadelphia leads Atlanta 4-1. And in the 6th inning, Colorado leads Houston 5-3. Now Jim Leland watching on here in the top of the 9th inning, and now Cirillo will get one more at bat.
Well, that's the frustrating part for Jim Leland, is seeing these pitchers, especially the ones coming out of the bullpen, walking hitters, because he doesn't like to see that happen, and it gives him less confidence, because now you don't want to use that pitcher in a situation with men on and in a low-scoring, close ball game.
Well, Derensbrook has a very good arm. He has good stuff, but he's got to be able to throw strikes. Cirillo with a walk and a couple of singles. He has gone 2 for 4, and he takes ball 1.
And that's a good point, just what you said. He has good stuff, but the problem is sometimes at this level, guys forget what got them to this level, and they have to learn how to trust what they threw at the AAA level, trust their stuff, and throw strikes. But they try to do a little bit too much sometimes, and that gets them out of the strike zone.
Yeah, you see a lot of young guys coming up, even though they do have good stuff. When they get to the major league level, sometimes they become afraid of contact. of allowing the hitters to get the bat on the ball. They don't trust their stuff. Well, Darrensburg does have good stuff, but he's got to believe it. And here's the 1-1. Foul back. Milwaukee 6 runs on 15 hits. Florida with a couple of runs on 9 hits. There have been no errors in this game. Finals in the American League. The Blue Jays beat Texas 9-2. Baltimore down Detroit 2-1 today. Oakland beat the Yankees 7-3. The Yankees haven't won a game yet either. And George is hopping mad. There's a high inside fastball. 7th inning, Kansas City 2, Minnesota 2. Tampa Bay in the battle of new managers. Larry Rothschild defeated Jerry Manuel, a couple of ex-Marlin coaches. Tampa Bay won that ball game 8-2. Hey, the Devil Rays, Tommy, are off to a pretty good start.
Well, I noticed McGriff has picked up some hits. Wade Boggs had a home run the other day. He's been getting hits every game. They got a good outing from Tony Saunders.
Yeah, they did.
They got a no decision, but Tony pitched well.
Another ex-Marlin. Hey, Seattle leads Boston 6-0 in the third, but with that Seattle bullpen, that game is not over with. If they have to go to the bullpen. Strike 3 called. He got him looking. And so Darrensburg pitched himself into some difficulty, but able to work out of it. No runs, a hit, couple of walks. We head to the bottom of the 9th. The top of the order coming up to hit. Milwaukee leads it by 4. All right, we'll take a look at today's Gatorade factoid, and it deals with Mark McGwire. And really amazing. You go back to August of last year, and Mark McGwire has homered in 14 consecutive series. And of course, this season he has homered in 4 consecutive games, which ties the major league record. Mark McGwire, yeah, he can hit him.
Yeah, there's a new left fielder, Greg Martinez, who came into pinch run. And a new pitcher, Chad Fox, who last time we saw was wearing an Atlanta Brave uniform.
And Floyd takes a fastball for a called strike. That's right. Mark McGwire is on a pace this season to hit 162 home runs. I'll tell you what, if he stays healthy, and this is an expansion year, there's a big swing and a miss by Floyd. And the count is 0-2. You know, Tommy, you look at Roger Maris's 61, McGwire could be right there.
Well, the one thing that McGwire won't do.
And Floyd strikes out.
Good fastball by Fox. He won't play 162 games. The reason being, Tony La Russa knows how to spot him and give him those days off when he needs them. He knows when his back gets a little sore. So he knows he needs to get at least 140, 145 games out of Mark McGwire. But the way he hits home runs, he can hit the home runs in that amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. He can hit 3, 4 just like that. There's a call strike to El Nino Renteria, who has gone hitless here tonight. He is 0 for 4. His batting average when the game started was .357, and it is down to .278. Early in the season, you'll see that happen.
Remember, Fox came up with the Braves last year when they made that move and made a lot of changes in their bullpen. And he came over here to Milwaukee for Gerald Williams.
Milwaukee leads it here 6-2, and the Marlins are down to the final 2 outs. Fly ball toward right. And Burnett has no difficulty with it. That's out number 2.
Gives Ryan Jackson another shot. He's already in his young major league career at a career high 3 base hits. He's going to see if he can add on to that.
Well, Greg Zahn in this game has tied his career high of 3 hits. And now Ryan Jackson, who's played only a few major league games, has a chance to come up with a 4-hit game already. On deck is Jim Eisenreich, who has gone hitless. Jackson had a single in the 3rd, a double in the 5th, and another single in the 7th. Even up at 1-1. Well, there are seats available for the game tomorrow. The finale, I should say, Game 3 against Milwaukee of a 4-game series. World Series championship ring day. All youngsters 12 and under receive a replica championship ring, and there are seats available, so call Ticketmaster. There's a swing and a miss, and this one is in the loss column. Well, the Marlins have suffered their 4th consecutive loss after that rousing opening day victory, but they lose this one by a score of 6-2. Milwaukee has won the first 2 of this 4-game set. They'll come back. That's the great thing about baseball. You get to come back the next day and try and do it all over again. 5-2, 6-2 the final score. We'll be back at Pro Players Stadium right after these messages. Marlin Baseball on Sports Channel is being brought to you in part by Chevron. To reduce knocking, try Chevron Supreme with a Techron additive. Chevron, simply smarter. By Roadhouse, where you can always eat, drink, and be yourself. And by Quaker State, the choice is clear. Now here's tonight's AutoNation USA Player of the Game, the Z-Man, Greg Zahn. He was on base a total of 4 times, including 3 hits and a rarity, Tommy, for a catcher.
Well, he got a triple. It came in the 6th inning. Hit a shot into right center field. Took a peek right there, and right about now, Greg Zahn, he knows he can turn it on and have himself 3 bases. Nice little head first slide. The thing about Greg Zahn, and I like what Jim Leland does with certain players who aren't going to be starting every day, he lets you know ahead of time. He told Greg he was going to play tonight. He also told him he's going to play in the game on Monday. So he lets a player know, especially a veteran guy who's been around a little bit, gives you a little advantage, gives you time to get yourself ready for that game. And the way Greg Zahn played tonight, he certainly was ready with a double, a triple, and a single.
Well, you got to love the way he plays the game. He likes to get his uniform dirty. He did a good job defensively, had a great spring, got a lot of hits, and he's off to a good start. In the regular season, back with more. Milwaukee wins this one 6-2, and tomorrow the Marlins will try to end a 4-game losing streak. They'll take on Milwaukee again. Back with more right after this. You see the totals. Milwaukee wins it 6 runs on 15 hits. Florida with a couple of runs on 9 hits. Kind of a long evening for Florida. But really, as we converse here with Tommy Hutton, you look at the ball game here tonight. Brian Meadows making his Major League debut. Jim Leland went to the bullpen. Kurt Ojala came back and did a good job out of the bullpen. And the big right-hander Oscar Enriquez also came in and bounced back from his sour effort in that ball game last night.
You know, you think about Brian Meadows making his Major League debut. His mother and father here from Troy, Alabama. He just was obviously a little nervous. He kept the ball up a little bit, and with the kind of velocity he has, he needs to get all of his pitches in the strike zone, make his pitches, and I'm sure we'll see a little better Brian Meadows the next time he goes out.
Well, they'll be back at it tomorrow, and of course, Livan Hernandez will get another start against Milwaukee tomorrow. Right now, we'll go to our play of the game here today for the Milwaukee Brewers. Big night offensively and a big night for Marquise Grissom.
Well, Marquise Grissom had himself a couple of doubles in the ball game, one in the 3rd, one in the 4th inning. He picked up some RBIs. He also chased down some balls nicely in center field. Of course, the 4-time Gold Glover does that all the time. But once Marquise gets one in the gap, you know he has extra bases, has very good speed. He's just a quality player. I think a real good addition for Phil Garner and the Milwaukee Brewers. Marquise Grissom playing in center field.
Well, Milwaukee off to a good start. They win this one 6-2. Back with more right after this. Baseball on Sports Channel has been brought to you in part by Bell South, proud to be the official telecommunications sponsor of the Florida Marlins. By Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. By the Discover Card, the card that pays you back with a cash back bonus award. By AutoNation USA, we make it easy to buy a car. By Hoover, nobody gets the dirt like Hoover. Nobody. By Southwest Airlines, the fare's so low, you have the freedom to go places and do things you never thought possible. And by Miller Lite, to remind you that whenever you feel good, hey, it's Miller time. Well, Milwaukee wins it by a score of 6-2. They out-hit Florida 15-9. They won the first 2 games tonight. Jeff Juden, the winner, 1-0, and he is now 4-0 lifetime against the Marlins. The loser, the rookie, making his Major League debut, Brian Meadows, he is 0-1. Thank you for joining us at Pro Player Stadium. And again, tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, the Marlins again on the television network will take on Milwaukee, and then on April 7th at 7 p.m., they'll hit the road. We will be in Philadelphia, so join us. For Tommy Hutton and Dave O'Brien, I'm Joe Angel saying goodbye once again. The Marlins tonight, unfortunately, in the loss column.